All right, good afternoon, everyone. I think we should start because we're just getting later and later and later. So, hope you had a good lunch. Sorry for a bit of the delay because we're using a speaker laptop and we've got 9 presentations. It's kind of an interesting setup. We've got short presentations. The reason for doing it is because you all have had a nice lunch and you're all feeling very sleepy. So if we give you a 30-minute presentation, you will fall asleep. So instead, we'll give you 5-minute, 10-minute updates. So we've got 2 updates from network operators groups, and when we have got, 5 updates from about internet exchange points and peering, and then we have 2 lightning talks. So lightning talks are very quick 5-minute presentations. We got 2 submitted, so the presenters will have a nice challenge of talking about the subject in 5 minutes. And I will be timing. So every presentation will be timed. So the 5 or 10 minutes, that's all the speakers get, and then I will interrupt and chase them away from the stage. All right, so just to let you know how the format will work. So hopefully we're ready. The first one up is Rupesh, who's going to talk about, he's going to give us an update about SANOG and everything that's been going on at SANOG. At least I hope he is. Are you? The slides are on the computer, so you should be able to do it. Anyway, the stage is yours.
Good evening. I think we need a couple of blasts of this monitor like earlier, so to wake us up, right? So it was quite a blast. Can you do that again? So good afternoon again. I hope you had a good lunch, as Philip said. What I'm going to do in this short presentation is to update you about, this is not a technical presentation, but what I'm going to do is about, tell you more about SANOG, the event itself. I briefly touched upon it during my welcome address also, but we'll run through this. So what is SANOG? SANOG is South Asian Network Operators Group. So it was started to bring together operators and for education as well as a mutual cooperation. So that's the basic fundamental behind this start of this NOG, South Asian NOG. As we mentioned, a couple of people involved in the earlier days in 2002, 2003. Gaurav as a founding chairman. Philip was involved. I think, Philip, you haven't missed any SANOG so far, I guess. 1 or 2, okay. We all do. So anyways, so that was the basic premise, to gather community people together from the South Asia and share each other's knowledge and at the same time train the new engineers or the engineers working in the network operations field, and then help them to come up to the speed with the better knowledge and experience. So that's basically what we used to do, and then also gathering the operators and as well as the vendors together so that they can also interact offline, not on the plain platform. But SANOG as a basic, for those who do not know, this is purely a technical network operations platform, and very less of a commercial platform. We do two events every year, one around January and another around July, and we move around different cities and different of the South Asian countries. Barring Maldives and Afghanistan so far, we've done in all the countries. Program is basically lined up in 2 to 3 days of conference and tutorial, and then 5 days of workshop. This time we had to cut it short because of some prior engagement in the hotel and other stuff. So this time we'll just have 4 days of workshop. We have a program committee. It's a very we work on a very organized way. It's like not all the paper presented or any paper submitted will not be accepted just like that. It has to go through a list of people who stays on the program committee. If you're also interested to join the program committee sends out the volunteer request, and then you can just volunteer yourself to be the reviewer of the papers that will be presented. But you have to make sure that you review all the paper presentations that comes through. Okay. Currently, the program committee is chaired by Dr. Philip Smith and co-chaired by Tashi Funso from APNIC and Simon Baroy from Fiber at Home in Bangladesh. We also have fellowship committee led by Rajiva Avegunaratna from Sri Lanka. Unfortunately, Rajiva could not join this time, but there are a list of other people also in the fellowship committee where we call for paper at least 4 months before the event, and every time we go through like 100, 200, or sometimes 250 applications also, and then we filter those, we review those, we rank those. All those people in the fellowship committee does the ranking, and then only the final top ranked fellowship people will be selected. About the start, SANOG 1 started in Kathmandu, Nepal during 2003 January. Was coincided with another IT exhibition at that time. Then we moved to SANOG 2 was in Sri Lanka in July. SANOG 3 was in Bangladesh, and then so on and so forth. We actually did not have any workshop in SANOG 1, but with SANOG 2 onwards, we started a workshop in SANOG 2, led by Dr. Philip Smith on the routing workshop at that time. I think it was in Sri Lanka. Total events so far, excluding this, so far we've already done 34 events. 2 of the events were co-hosted with Apricot. Total in 6 countries. Total fellowship awarded so far, 435 fellowships have been awarded, and fellowships are so far has been sponsored by APNIC and Internet Society as well as SANOG itself. Number of workshop tracks conducted, 92 workshop tracks conducted. Total workshop participants, 2,760 workshop participants who've availed directly or indirectly through this workshop. And some of the people that I know who attended the workshop in earlier part of SANOG, 2004-5 are CTOs in some of the countries, big companies right now. Major workshop tracks and topics, we've covered at least 13 different tracks on the workshop. These are the different tracks that we've covered, predominantly IPv4, V6, BGP routing, and all those things. Like that's been like a it's always there. And apart from that, we usually have 3 tracks in every SANOG. This time we only have 2 tracks in SANOG. But usually we have 3 different tracks that we do in SANOG. And one of them always happens to be either the routing part, the BGP routing and all those things. But now that, as you can also see, the network security, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth, and then DNSSEC, DNS and DNSSEC. It's like the popularity has been going up. Number of times SANOG is hosted on a country-wise basis. We've had 11 times in India, 5 times in Bangladesh, 6 times in Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Upcoming event, this is not upcoming, current event is in Pakistan, Karachi, and then the next one will be in July, end of July, in Sri Lanka, hopefully either in Colombo or Galle. We are talking with the local host to finalize the venue, but it will be in Sri Lanka for sure. Future plans, our plan is to get the stronger relationship with the local NOGs, as been mentioned by Philip earlier, and I also mentioned earlier, the local NOGs and the country NOGs in each of these South Asian countries have been growing. So BD-NOG, BT-NOG, NP-NOG, LK-NOG, IN-NOG, and all those NOGs across the countries have been growing up, and then SANOG has been like, and then following the SANOG format. We are also going to tie up with other regional NOGs, build a stronger community network, and then also greater regional cooperation, and the instructors, volunteer instructors network will be developed. At the same time, we are also talking about creating a regional platform for NOGs, interconnections, and then research and education, and then other governance issues. And that's all about SANOG. If you have any questions, you can ask me later offline. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, next up is me. I wasn't quite planning to do this, but I just want to give you just a little bit about Apricot. So Paul, in his talk in the opening plenary, mentioned that Apricot 2020 is happening in Melbourne in Australia in 3 weeks' time. Probably a little bit late for you here to think about going, given you have to apply for visas and all the rest, and the Australian government is notoriously slow for processing visas. But I mean, those of you who are thinking about it or maybe have a visa to go to Australia, it's probably still not too late to look at doing that. But I want to also mention this other thing that's popped up that you see on the screen in front of you called APNOG. Part of the thing we've been doing over the last 2 years, so Apricot, the conference itself, has been organized for many years by the Asia Pacific Internet Association. The issue with APIA is that it's not a non-profit entity, whereas Apricot very much is a non-profit activity. It's not a commercial conference. It's organized by the community and has been done by APIA now, let me see, probably since 2003. It probably would have been under the arms, or at least under the umbrella of APIA for organization. But APIA was incorporated in Australia 2011, but I did it in a bit of a rush because, I suppose to put it simply, we were incorporated in the Seychelles. The Seychelles decided they didn't want to provide incorporation for organizations like ours. So we were given a cease and desist notice pretty quickly, so we had to get reincorporated. I live in Brisbane in Australia, so it was easy for me to do that. The downside that was I just set up a standard Australian company. So last 2 years, the board has transitioned. So the name for our non-profit is the Asia Pacific Network Operators Group. It's not something new, it's not something different, it's not the mother or the father or the grandmother or the grandfather of all the other NOGs in the region. It's simply the legal entity, the non-profit legal entity that will, or that is looking after Apricot. So part of that is APIA has basically handed all its assets and responsibilities over to APNOG. So you'll see APNOG a lot in the future. I'm not saying that the APIA logo that's on my shirt here will go away. APIA will still exist, but not as the custodian of Apricot anymore. So that's pretty much what it says on the screen. The other activities we do, we run the APOPS mailing list. So APOPS, again, is a mailing list for network operators across the whole region. It's not very active. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I wish it would be a lot more active. People seem to default to the NANOG mailing list, even though that's more about North America. But we do have the APOPS mailing list, so APNOG looks after that. So that is our mailing list. Another thing we do, which I've listed on the screen there, is supporting other NOGs across the Asia-Pacific region. Now that support is entirely what you, the NOG, wants it to be, or would like it to be. So for SANOG, for example, you see on the screen there, you see that this SANOG is endorsed by Apricot. And that really means that Apricot as an entity and APNOG as the legal instrument underneath all that will supply SANOG with whatever support it needs. So for things like handling sponsorship monies for international organizations, again, as Rupesh was saying, most of the countries in this region now have network operators groups. But a lot of these entities are groups of friends who have set something up. They don't have their own legal entity. And with so much focus on anti-money laundering by international organizations and so forth, a lot of companies now are unwilling to sponsor organizations unless there's a legal entity. So it basically says, well, we'll sponsor your NOG, but you must have a legal entity. In many countries, it's very hard to set up a legal entity. And so what Apricot does, or APNOG does, is provide that legal entity. We will sign the sponsorship relationship with a lot of these bigger organizations, and then we can handle that support for you. So we see that as a service to the industry. We don't charge for it. But all we ask is, can you just stick something up saying that you've got a little bit of help from Apricot and from APNOG. So that's really the support we do. And so when PKNOG reawakes, I mean, I was here 3 years ago when PKNOG was launched in a great big blaze of glory. I'll be happy to come back when it gets relaunched again, and I mean relaunched again, in its next blaze of glory, and I hope it will carry on. We've had commitments this morning, so there are a lot of folks in the community, both here in Pakistan as well as the expats, who are keen to see something happening. As Rupesh said, it makes it easier for SANOG to work with the local community, because now if we want to go to Kathmandu, we knock on the door of NPNOG and say, hey, we want to bring SANOG here. Easy for Rupesh, because he can just walk down the street. But like same as going to Bhutan and going to Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka. It makes it much easier, much more coherent community as well. And I know there are travel restrictions between the different countries, but SANOG can cover all of that. And so having SANOG being able to support the country NOGs is a great thing. Apricot is there available also to support SANOG, as well as supporting other NOGs in Southeast Asia and across the Pacific Ocean as well. So as for Apricot 2020, we've done technical training since 2000, were the first workshops that we did. These workshops, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's introductory, I don't need training. These are pretty advanced workshops run by some of the industry's best people. It's interesting, we've got quite a bit of pushback this year of, oh, we don't need to be trained. This is not training. I was talking about best practices and about BGP this morning in my presentation. So again, even though those topics looks fairly simple, straightforward, this is fairly advanced training by some of the best people in the industry. 17th, we've got this RPKI deployathon. Aftab's going to be talking a lot about routing security tomorrow. We're doing a whole day of deploying RPKI, again, for the delegates who are interested in coming. And then we have the conference from the 18th to 21st. It's the 25th Apricot, so it's time for a big celebration. So we will have a big celebration. More on the website. Okay, that color looks different from my laptop. And anyway, so Apricot 2020, if you haven't made plans, hope to see you there. If not, it's all going to be webcast, so enjoy watching it online. And that's it. Now, I've forgotten who was next. Who was next? Okay, Afghanistan, that's right. So next presentation is, oh, I've shut my laptop. So from Afghan Internet Exchange, please. Sorry about that, Sheriff Self from the Afghan Internet Exchange. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sheravzal from Ministry of Communication and IT, Afghanistan. Our presentation is about IXP, Internet Exchange Point. Fortunately, now we have an Internet Exchange Point also in Afghanistan and Ministry of Communication. First of all, if we can say that what is an IXP, a question comes in our mind that what an IXP is and how it can work. Suppose we have two ISPs and they want to communicate with each other. So in this case, both ISPs have international link, I mean the upstream link, and the server is located inside the country. So in this case, ISP1, when they want to communicate with the other one, so for this, it's going outside the country. So at here we have the risk of internet data security, also the latency and the speed of internet will be slower. If we have an IXP, in this case, those ISPs which are connected with IXP, so those traffic will locally communicate. And fortunately, right now, we have our own IXP, and we have connected 17 ISPs to our IXP, and we also have content provider, Facebook Cache. So coming to the presentation, here our IXP is located in National Data Center of Afghanistan, and the idea came at 2014, but some of the challenges in the country, we was not able to implement this, but right now we have that, and at 2018 we have established the IXP in Afghanistan. So that was invented for the three main component. It was for secure data, faster internet speed, and low cost. Right now, we have the highest cost in Afghanistan. So our aim is to reduce the cost. So for the sake of reducing the cost, IXP is essential step to take and reduce the cost. At the second page, as I say, about the IXP. So the main component in this was that we connect all the ISPs to the IXP, and at here they just exchange the local traffic. Local traffic means that if one server is hosted inside the country, so that traffic should not go outside the country. It should be locally exchanged. As I said, the local traffic remains local and eliminate the long distance of an expensive international bandwidth for routing traffic. So this is the second major point that we can say that it can give us the help to reduce the international costs. ISPs is about exchanging the routing information traffic. It allows them to directly hand off traffic between each other customers. So it means that you are not going to pay the third party to carry your local traffic. So for this, you just want to have one connection to an IXP, so your all traffic will be exchanged locally. At the fourth point, we can say that if one ISP wants to communicate with other ISP, so for this, it needs international links. But at here, if you get one connection to IXP, so it means that you have multiple connections to other ISPs. It doesn't need any other link to communicate with other ISPs. And one major thing that we should say about IXP is not an internet exchange point. IXPs are usually created for exchanging the local traffic. Suppose we have services inside the country, so those services should be exchanged locally. So by the help of this, there is no any combination of internet at here. We just exchange the local traffic. In this diagram, we can easily see that if ISP have connection to IXP, so the local traffic will come to an IXP, but if the source or destination is outside the country, so that will go to the upstream link through the internet, international links. We have advantages here. We can say financial advantages and technical advantages. So financial advantages, as we said, that it saves the interconnection. Suppose you want to connect with multiple ISPs, so you didn't need any multiple links. Just one link to one IXP, it means you are connected to all the ISPs inside the country. And an IXP increase the number of potential providers, reduce the cost of bandwidth. Therefore, it is stimulated better local internet service offer and increase local competition. So if you have IXP and you connect all the ISPs to it, so at here a competition start. So by this competition, you can decrease the cost of internet. And also, it also give attraction for the foreign CDNs. So at here, we can say that if you have a local IXP, so the content provider will also can give you their CDN. Suppose right now we convince Facebook. So Facebook caches are inside our exchange point, and there we are exchanging the local traffic of Facebook locally, and we are also in touch with Google. So we will have a GGC also for our exchange point. And IXP help technological startup and development relationship with a research organization. And this slide, the technical advantages of an IXP. So at the first point, we can say that local traffic remains local. So this is the first advantage of the IXP technical advantages. So second, reduced latency means better quality of service. So at here we can say that if we have a server which is locally hosted in a country, so that will exchange the local traffic. But if we can say the WhatsApp or Viber video call, so here when one WhatsApp user which is in Pakistan, and other one is also in Pakistan. So they have the different they're connected with the different ISP. So when they are communicating via WhatsApp, it means that first they will they have to have one internet link to send the signaling link to another WhatsApp user. So after that, the communication gets started point to point. So it means that the point-to-point communication will start by the help of an IXP. So you will just need a signaling link to the other ISP, other user, and after that your communication will be local. So IXP can give you disadvantages also. So accelerate local internet exchange between user and service providers, improve the overall bandwidth utilization, and improve the routing efficiency by increasing the number of possible paths. So if you have connection to IXP and then in an IXP you already connect 14 ISPs, so it means that you have better routing table. So all communication will be locally by the help of an IXP. This is the current state of our exchange point in Afghanistan, NEXA, National Internet Exchange Point. So currently 17 ISPs are connected to NEXA, and we have on Facebook, as I say, and 1.2 gig traffic is locally exchanged, and 600 MB local traffic, which is the local traffic of these 17 ISPs. So total around about 2 GB traffic is routed locally. At NEXA, you will have one connection. Each ISP have one connection to connect to National Internet Exchange Point of Afghanistan. And at NEXA, we can provide the 1 gig ports, 10 gig, and also the 100 gig ports. Some of the ISPs, bigger ISPs, Afghan Telecom and Afghan Wireless Communication Company, and Etisalat AFG. So those traffics are really huge. So for them, we have brought routers which they have 100 gig ports, and we are providing 100 gig ports speed also. And the future vision for NEXA is to connect all the 64 licensed ISPs. So we will connect all the 64 ISPs, and we are also communicating with Google, Netflix, and Akamai to have the caches, local caches, and our IXP. So this will help to exchange and to have all the bandwidth which is going outside, control it inside the country. And we have also planned to have other regional IXPs. Suppose on our southeast and west sides, Herat, Kandahar, and also in Kabul we already have. So, and we plan to have it in Kunduz, Mazar, and Kandahar. And this is all about our IXP, and thank you for your attention.
before you run away, any questions? I thought there'd be questions. Rupesh Aftab, is there a mic? And Harris. Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Do you have a pricing model that you can share for your members? How do you do the pricing? How do you charge?
Okay. For the time being, because it was a new initiative, so we have to convince the ISPs. And as you know, that the internet bandwidth is so much cost in Afghanistan. So for this, we cannot load other cost on them. So for the time being, it's free. For free, they are connecting. We are providing the links. So once they connect, later on, government will take decision to make charges.
You said you have Facebook and other CDNs as well that you're planning. Then how would you subsidize for the cash fill bandwidth that you?
For the time being, as I'm also working with the World Bank project, World Bank is funding this. So for coming 3 years, World Bank will support us, and after that, maybe we will apply the cost. On that time, we will take all the charges from the ISPs. Any other question?
Yes. So have you done any statistics on how much traffic is local actually?
Yes, we have solar wind, and we for the time being 600 MB traffic of 17 ISPs. It's locally exchanged, except Facebook.
Okay. No, yes. So I'm just trying to understand, because you have a lot of content in your local language, right?
Yes.
So that means that content is hosted outside the country.
Yes, mostly major servers are outside, okay. But we are planning to bring them inside the country.
Okay.
Yes.
So, congratulations. So, very inspiring. Congratulations to Afghanistan people.
Thank you.
We as a Pakistani people is still striving to have a registered entity in Pakistan, PKIX. We still have in Karachi and Islamabad, but not registered yet. So we are not connected with CDNs. I'm happy that you guys are connected with Google and other caches and CDNs. Yeah. So can you help me to understand how this organization is structured? Does it come under ministry, or you have a registered non-profitable organization separately?
You mean that how we convince these content providers to?
No. So is it, have you registered a local organization, or it's come under ministry?
Okay. No, for the time being, right now, it's under Ministry of Communication and IT. So we will plan when we are going to make it applying the cost. On that time, maybe we can take it to the private sector, to the ISPs, so they will have the control, and they can monitor it, and they can pay it. Because if you are applying the cost, so for that sake, you have to convince that guy. So maybe in future we will, but it's not clear, not 100% that government will let this to the private sector or no. But for the time being, it's under Ministry of Communication and IT.
So thank you very much. I think great initiative by the ministry. I wish that we have a government bodies here from the Ministry of IT here. So since I don't think so, other than PTAs here, they can listen to you. Great initiative. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Haris Shamsi. And again, as Maruf has said, congratulations. It's a great initiative. And you guys have started consolidating 600 MB. Don't look at it as a small traffic, but it's a very, very big initiative in a way. I just want to understand what is this 600 MB is, right? Mm-hmm. Is it inter-ISP email communication? Is it something which is related to a local content which you have developed or hosted? What is this 600 MB traffic?
It's basically those websites which are hosted inside the country, and also some of the ISPs, they have their own local hosted server for providing like a portal. So it's that one. Third one is that, as I says, that if you have a video call, or if you have a WhatsApp, Viber, and these things, or online gaming. So for this sake, for the first time when you communicate, so on that time you need a signaling link, and after that the traffic exchange gets local. So if an ISP is connected with IXP, Internet Exchange Point, on that time this traffic remains local. So it's these three components that makes 600 Mbps traffic.
Okay. And you are not seeing any email communication or email servers which are being hosted locally, part of this 600 MB?
Yes, of course. We have in every organization email servers. So also, this is also covered under that when we are exchanging the local
Thank
emails.
you very much. Great initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Now, from a personal point of view, it's great to see the Afghan Internet Exchange Point. I think this is the third effort, isn't it? But this one seems to be a lot better than the previous two that I've been aware of. So congratulations to Afghanistan, definitely. Thank you. But Afghan NOG? Never mind, that's another discussion topic. Ahmed's going to talk about the Pakistan Internet Exchange Point. Please. I'll be happy to help, absolutely. And Rupesh, I will delegate to Rupesh. He's a bit closer than I am.
Most welcome, and we will be waiting.
So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope you are not sleeping. Huh? So, my name is Ahmed Bakht. I'm working for the Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, PTA. And my friend from Afghanistan has already explained, so I will skip this slide. So these are the benefits of IXP, which he has also explained. It is cost saving. It lowers the latency and improves the user experience. And it encourages the local hosting and local content generation, improves security, and it paved the way for the availability of internet services during the international bandwidth downtime. Previously, there was a very different infrastructure in Pakistan. Pi was available. Pi and TWA was pairing with each other. CyberNet attempted to have a pairing at Karachi, Nayatel at Islamabad, and then BrainTel at Lahore. But none of these was successful because other people was not trusting each other. So IXPs were flourishing in the region. That's why APNIC and ISOC contacted PTA, and PTA organized a joint session with ISOC, APNIC, and all the stakeholders from the telecom industry, including the ISPs and mobile operators. And at that time, Ms. Jane Coffin confirmed her support for the Pakistan IXP, and Chairman PTA also confirmed the support from PTA. So these were the initially identified 5 stakeholders, because PTA believes to bring all stakeholders together. So initially we defined all ISPs, all mobile operators, all bandwidth providers, and the regulator PTA itself, and the academia. And after the discussion with all these stakeholders, they formed 5 working groups to discuss almost all aspects of the IXP. And 4 of these groups were headed by professors from independent universities. And one group was headed by DG Quad PTA. And after thorough deliberation, these working groups recommended that there should be an independent IXP board. And they also recommended Higher Education Commission, HEC, as a neutral IXP venue. And they recommended to have 3 IXPs, one at Islamabad, second at Karachi, and third one at Lahore. And they recommended not to charge so much from the ISPs so that small operators can also participate in IXP. And they also recommended to encourage local hosting in Pakistan, because we have the same issue as in Afghanistan. We have mostly in abroad. And why the HEC was selected? Because it is the neutral place for everyone. It is convenient, and it was acceptable to all of the stakeholders. And they have vast experience of managing PERN network, Pakistan Educational Research Network. So under the recommendations, all the stakeholders were asked to send nominations. And from ISPs, Mr. Maroof Shahani is there. He is representing Pakistan Internet Board from the ISPs. And then we have Mr. Amir Tufail from PTCL. Then Wasiullah Khan from PTA, and Dr. Zartash Uzmi from the academia. And HEC seat is vacant at this time, but it was held by Dr. Arshad, who actually contributed a lot towards the Pakistan IXP. And the seat of cellular mobile operators is also vacant, because there was a representation from Zong, but they were not able to deploy their fiber at the Pakistan IXP. And then we have representation from Islamabad ISOC chapter. Dr. Amir Qum is representing from ISOC and from the academy as well. So this is the comparison of traffic, the same website accessed from the international route and through the IXP. So you can imagine this traffic is going through the international routes, and it is more than 100 milliseconds. Whereas same website from the IXP, it takes around 1 to 2 milliseconds. So you can feel the difference, the technical issues he was talking about. The exception is Multinet, because they were having main infrastructure in Karachi, and they are routing their traffic from Islamabad to Karachi through their own backhaul. So that there is some delay from the Multinet. So we must recognize all of the sporting organizations. We have sport initially from the EPINIC, and then from ISOC. Ms. Jane Coffin and Mr. Philip Smith came here for the capacity building of the Pakistan community. And then Mr. Philip Smith was representing NSRC. And then we requested Huawei to arrange equipment for the Islamabad IXP, and they provided the equipment for that. And then ISOC actually supported the equipment, and they provided the technical support. Mr. Aftab Siddiqui arranged a workshop for the ISPs at Karachi, and they supported the equipment. So the IXP at Karachi is also up and running with the support of all these guys. So I would request to have a clapping for all of these for their contribution. So this is the status of IXP participant. We have 9 operators in Islamabad, and we have 8 operators at Karachi. And PTCL is also near to join Karachi IXP. And just to update that this participation is totally volunteer. So we are not forcing anyone to come and join. From PTA point of view or from the government point of view, it can be regulated and we can force everyone to come and join, but we have not, yet not regulated this sector. So this is the status of Islamabad traffic. It is varying between 16 GB to 10 GB during different time span and during different network activities. And this is the total volume exchange between these operators during one day. So it has reached to 130 terabyte. The operator, this is the stats of operators by traffic analysis. PTCL has the most chunk at Islamabad IXP. They have 6.5 gig. And then PERN, Pakistan Education Research Network, they have connected 200 universities with this network. And after that, Multinet, and then Wateen and Nayatel. And Telenor is the only cellular mobile operator connected to Islamabad IXP. They have also joined Karachi IXP. So this is the volume of traffic at Karachi. We have some issues in the NMS, so I don't have the exact stat of the Karachi IXP, but definitely I will share with the community after solving the NMS issues. And we are now started negotiating with the stakeholder for the Lahore IXP. And we are considering a new and neutral venue because HEC don't have the space in their data center at Lahore. So we are discussing with different stakeholders, and we will reach to some conclusion after the discussion with all the stakeholders. And we will arrange capacity building. I was discussing with Mr. Aftab Siddiqui, and he is ready to help us out even in Lahore. And we are also looking for the support from the IXP. Maybe Naveed can assist us in arranging this equipment for. So thank you very much for ISOC, Naveed, and Aftab Siddiqui for technical support and for equipment support. So one question is why we are looking for this support. Why, any ISP in Pakistan can afford all these equipment because of the neutrality. In Karachi, if we request CyberNet, they can arrange. If we request PTCL, they can arrange. If we request to Braintel, they can arrange. PTA itself can purchase. But for the neutrality, we are offering free of cost services to everyone. And future considerations, we are looking to encourage local hosting in Pakistan. We have most of the website hosted abroad. And we are, as Maroof Saab has explained, that we have issues in registering the IXP board. So once it is resolved, we can host the CDN at the Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad IXP. And we are looking to extend our network to our regional countries like Afghanistan, like China, and other countries. And we are also, it is also under consideration whether to take it as a non-profit model as recommended by Philip Smith and Ms. Jane Coffin, or to make it a commercial arrangement. So it will be decided by the PTA management initially, and then by the IXP board after the deliberation. So this is all. Thank you very much. If you have any question, I'm ready to. Yes, sir. Sorry, I can't. Not properly. I have some hearing issues. Yeah.
No, my question was that is there a website like usually in the IXPs with neutrality and everything, right? We open them up and we start seeing the statistics. This is itself something which attracts people to come in, right? And then we help among ourselves to put some DPI type of a solution which shows that what kind of traffic flows are happening, right? And I think the community would be able to help. But do you have this plan? Do you have this published? Or?
Yeah, actually, we have the stats, but the board decided not to publish it publicly. So there may be some reasons, but board can, if board allow, we can share details with the people.
So I feel that there is a board member sitting here, Mr. Maroof, and can you answer that?
So echo back what Haris said. I'm personally, one of the board members, so we have few board members also. So I'm personally a promoter to publish this on the website. Initially, I gave this thought that we should publish it, but few of the board members had this reservation. They didn't want to publish it for now until we registered a proper organization, and then we can publish it properly. So from my perspective, I'm for it, and then I need further support from the other board members.
Thank you very much, and I would request some of the people here like Aftab, Rupesh, Philip, Paul maybe, let's do a campaign to open up these stats, because I think this will help you in your cause of formulating a proper body. Because when people will start seeing all this, I think this will put up an upward pressure.
So, sir, can I explain?
Yeah, please. I wanted some comment after you.
Yeah, actually, since we have 7 stakeholders, so Mr. Maroof is always very helpful and open up all these discussions. He's promote openness. But there are some concerns that if we have yet not registered, so we should not open up all these things to the public. So once we manage to register, it will be available publicly.
So a few comments, since the community is here. So one of the most important thing is to convince these mobile operators to be a part of this ecosystem. I believe in Urdu we say that charag tale andhera hai. So this underneath they can't really realize that the mobile operators, even they can exchange their voice traffic. I understand they might have legal issues, but they are having a capacity issues in exchanging the voice traffic. So the IXP could be the best platform for them. Like Haris mentioned, we really need to market what is happening with the IXP, what sort of benefits we can give it to the industry, we can give it to the operators. I personally believe that because the board member, they were not much on the influencing side with their local operator management. So I think from the PTA perspective is a part of the 2015 policy that PTA has to promote from the government on behalf of government and regulator. And that is, I can feel it that you guys are still playing the role. But for us, very important that the SANOG and other community, the local community, they need to meet with the senior people, with the mobile operators, and then the local big companies. And we need to market ourselves that how it is important for, not only for the exchanging the traffic perspective, but it's good for the country, like you mentioned, that once we don't have the submarine cable or there's a disconnect in the submarine cable, so we can exchange the local traffic, like local clouds can exchange the local traffic. It's very, very important for us to convince these people. I think one most important for all of us is to get us a register, either it's commercial or non-profitable. We have been thinking, we have been discussing for the last 3-4 years that should it be profitable or non-profitable. I know in Pakistan it's very difficult to get a non-profitable organization to be registered, but in my opinion, we must build a consensus to get it registered and bring the international partner CDN and give this sharing benefits to all ISPs and telcos. So like Haris mentioned, we need to really work together to talk to these mobile operators, talk to the government, and build the consensus how we need to, in which way we need to register the organization and bring the partners. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. A nice explanation. Just need to add. There is a consensus among the board members that we need to register, and they actually tried hard. Even Maroof Saab is very much in to register this IXP board, but we had some problem of non-governmental organization registration in Pakistan. That's why we were having difficulty because of the FATF issues and some other issues. The government bodies are reluctant to register non-profit organizations. So still, we will try our best of efforts to get it registered and further proliferate this IXP in Pakistan.
Ahmed Saab, just may I propose that kindly call up a board meeting urgently.
Yeah, sure.
Urgently, therefore, what Haris mentioned, we need to really decide quickly that how we can fill up the 2 seats of the board members and how we can take decision to register it. Also, international community is there to help us out.
Agreed, sir.
Thank you.
I have short 3 questions. As you said that you have interconnection, you have IXPs in Islamabad and Karachi. Do you have interconnection between these 2 IXP? One. The second one, have you applied the cost on the connected ISPs? And the third one, do you have a CDNs, content provider caches, such as Facebook and Google?
Yeah, actually, at this moment, we are not interconnecting with each other. At later stage, maybe we can decide.
So your first question is that interconnection. So since this is the volunteer connection from the ISPs and from the telcos, so they bring fiber on the IXPs. So right now, this long-haul infrastructure is very costly. So none of any operator so far is willing to contribute. But only, so it's say in the city Karachi, that only the Karachi ISPs share the local traffic within the cities. So we're not sharing the traffic between cities.
Okay.
So this is the first question. Yeah. The second question, sorry, can
cost apply on these ISPs which are connected.
So since we have not, we have decided a certain price, say for example $500 per month for 10G port, but we have not yet applied because we are not yet registered entity, so we are not charging to anyone. But whatever the rate we decided, we will start charging even. Unfortunately, when you talk with the international CDN, like Philip earlier mentioned also, they talk about the registered entity. So, so they cannot host the CDNs without register. I mean, they sign the contract or NDA with any registered entity. So we are in, as I mentioned, we are in a process. Because the board community, the IXP board suggested it should be non-profitable. And in Pakistan to get it registered is very tough, as he mentioned about FATM and other issues. So we are in discussion either to get registered commercially. It's very easy to register it. To register non-profitable is a bit tough. So once we get it registered, then we can have this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah, and just to add, we have recommended, the IXP board actually recommended fee for 1G, we have 60,000, and for the 10G, we 125,000 rupees. But we have not charged since year 2016.
Just a last question, Amanthi. Thank you very much for your presentation. I just want to ask that, as you explained that the HEC was chosen because of the neutrality, and one of the reasons was that they had a prior experience of running the Pakistan Educational Research Network, PERN. But don't you think, on the other hand, that HEC being a regulator of higher education has a mandate of regulating the educational sector rather than stepping into the telecommunication domain purely from the regulator perspective? And also I would like to answer the same to the board member.
The regulation perspective, Ahmed Bakht can answer, but my response to you that before this initiative, Cybernet had this IXP and we invested voluntarily. We brought in a couple of operators, but none of the community was convinced to join that IXP. So we did realize that we desperately needed a neutral platform. Either it's a university or either it's a HEC or whatever. So HEC had this small data center in most of the cities. So we requested them if they can help us out. They're not into telecom business, but they are just helping the telecom industry to give a neutral role to the telecom operator. Therefore, they're comfortable to bring their fiber and join there. From the regulatory perspective, he can answer.
Yeah, he has already explained, nothing else to contribute.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum ji. मेरा नाम हमारा बाब है. The way we see it, the world's थोड़ी सी traffic optimization की बात करते हैं. The world is divided into two zones. ठीक है. The one is like within Europe, Germany, and that zone, and एक Latin America, North America, Brazil का zone है. ठीक है. Now we are not merging our fibers over there. ठीक है. They have number of fibers there too. They have their own submarine cables, but we don't have anything there. हमारे जो जितना भी गेटवे बनता है वो फ्रांस या यूरोपियन या इजिप्ट बेसिकली बनता है. तो that gets a big latency from North America or Latin America में latency का problem आ जाता है. More than 300 ms का problem आता है. तो why are we not doing anything about that? क्योंकि वहाँ का content हमें कुछ भी नहीं मिल रहा. ना ही we are providing those services here.
यही तो हम बात कर रहे हैं कि आप जो है ना local sort out कर लें. This is what we are talking about. Actually, he is talking about we should not have traffic for the Latin America and others. We have higher latency rates. Yes, that's why we are recommending the IXP, and we are encouraging the local hosting so that the Pakistani traffic should remain within the country and shouldn't go out. And we can cooperate with our regional IXPs.
The way I see it, like we are getting bottlenecked at Europe side or Egyptian sites. Okay? So the traffic is immense there. They have limited capabilities there. Okay? So why are we not? हमारी अपनी fibers उनके fiber के साथ की attachment क्यों नहीं हो रही?
So if you allow,
answer करने कोई मसला नहीं.
So you're talking about connecting our submarine cable with these people. So the submarine cable has a cross-border domain. So it is a different level of security, is a different level of policies in the cross-border. That's why in most of the countries, like in Europe, because the Europe is entirely connected, so they have this ability to connect each other. But since we are a separate entity in the separate country, so for us it's very difficult because this submarine cable was laid for the millions of $1 million. So they have a different business model to get returns. So for regulator or for the government, it's very difficult to influence on the submarine cable people that open up the cable and connecting our local cable with the international cable. So that's a different business model. Those companies who invest, like even Cybernet is bringing a submarine cable, they have a different business model to, say, for example, the IRU or whatever. So we cannot connect this local internet exchanges with the international one at the cost of the local fiber, right? So that's a commercial issue to connect, say, Europe or US. So we're trying, we as a community, as a country, we're trying to bring more submarine cable connecting directly to US or directly to the different continents, but it requires a lot of investment. One cable needed $300, $400, $500 million. So it's happening, but it's a bit slow. So,
okay, this is a very interesting discussion, but we are only 20 minutes into a 90-minute session, and I would beg us to please move on. If I'd known this was going to be so interesting, we would have got a
thank
panel
you, Philip.
session
Thank
to
you very
cover.
much.
Okay, I'll just put one question up and then we can maybe discuss it sometime later on. You mentioned that this is all a voluntary effort where different ISPs and different participants do it on voluntary basis and the government is also not charging anything. I do not see Transworld in that list in that Karachi list. If it's not missed out, if Transworld is actually not participating, what could be the reason? The reason could be whether we are not registered as an entity, because I have had the chance of working with PDCL in 8 months, and I can assure you it was not a smooth journey at all. I lasted only 8 months in PDCL, and there's practically everything goes through a lot of challenge with PDCL. So if I see PDCL in that list of volunteers, and I don't see Transworld in that list of volunteers, is there a personal gain somewhere involved, or are they waiting for...
Okay, it's a tea break question, tea break answer. We have a social event this evening. We can talk all about that then. We really have to move on.
So Philip supersedes, so I can't comment on that. You supersede, so you tell us. Either you want us to respond or go for the tea or coffee.
All right, let's move on. Thank you very much, Ahmed, for the update. I should have given you half an hour.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm going to say, even when I was here doing the IXP workshop, when what ended up being a simple workshop went on and on and on because of all these good questions. So I'm not dismissing them as not important. They're very important questions, very important discussion to have. But we've only had 10 minutes for the presentation, and it's taken half an hour. So anyway, let's move on. Aftab is going to, this is not quite about IXs, but it's very, very closely related. He's going to talk about interesting traffic patterns in Pakistan.
Hello, everyone. This is Aftab Siddiqui. I work for the organization called Internet Society. So if I can have my very small slide deck. Yep. So in the free time, which I have a lot these days, because I try to gather some interesting statistics. So I arrived last night and I said, well, I have time, I don't want to sleep, so let's gather some statistics, and I did it from here. So I got some slide deck here, so I'm just sharing it. Just to add, I found so many interesting things while collecting data, so I have requested Rapid Compute to give me a virtual machine so I can get more information. So they have given me a free of cost virtual machine to collect more data. So I'll be doing more, hopefully very soon, and publish something. So this is something, just you heard about a lot of discussion on the IX, why you need an IX, right? So it's a very simple thing, right? So it's, what is latency? Latency is the time that it takes a packet from, leave from one node and go to the other one and then return. It's a very simple thing. If you are all aware of the network, that's how it works. There's one problem. We cannot fix one thing, and that is the speed of light, right? So there's a distance, there's a 13,000 kilometer distance between Karachi and San Francisco. There's nothing you can do about it, but what you can do is you can bring the server closer to you. And that's what we were talking about, right? So these are the statistics from my home network in Sydney. So this is what I get when I try to reach all these public DNSs. So it is Google 8.8.8.8, Quad 9, which is 9.9.9, and Cloudflare APNIC DNS is 1.1.1.1. 3 major public DNSs. Not a single one of them even crosses 1 millisecond. They are all under 1 millisecond. And that's my home. It crosses the access network and then goes to the data center. It's a round trip, and it's still less than a millisecond. So if you look at it, it's around this all the time. If I'm using a lot of internet at home, of course, sometimes the latency goes up and down, but the average remains the same. So I said, okay, fine, let's do the statistics from here. So this is SANOG network. So the Wi-Fi I provided here, I used it last night. To reach Google DNS, the 8.8.8, it requires around 25 milliseconds. Even though Google is hosted in Pakistan. Because it is crossing through so many hops and through multiple operators, because we are not peering with everyone here. If you are peering with everyone, it should just reach the IX, and that's where the Google DNS should be. That's it. But it doesn't happen like that. Second one is Quad 9. That is not even in Pakistan. It has to go all the way to France. So it's France seaborne. So it's going all the way to Frankfurt, and then probably somewhere there in a DKIX internet exchange or somewhere. And it's going all the way, it's leaving your country, right? And if I go to 1.1.1, number of hops are fine, and this one at least. The latency is still 3, around 4 milliseconds. It's not that bad. Why? Because Cloudflare has recently established a POP in Pakistan with PTCL. So it is still crossing PTCL and then hitting Cloudflare. If they were on the IX, it would have been 1 millisecond, but still not bad. Now, so what I did is one of the, when Ahmed Bakht was sharing his presentation, he said, we need to encourage local hosting, right? So we have a CCTLD. CCTLD is country code top level domain, which is .pk in case of Pakistan and .pakistan in Urdu. Why would anybody need .pk domain? Of course, to encourage businesses or content in Pakistan, right? I'm not talking about .com or .net or .org or any other TLD. So I said I specifically looked into .pk. So the time was short. I could only get public data, and the public data I got around 15,000 domains of .pk. And then I ran the script last night, and it was running overnight. I looked it up in the morning. It was finished, so I got the data. It's good enough to understand what's happening. So as per the Hurricane Electric domain report, we have around 44,000 registered .pk domains, 19,000 A records. So a lot of people register .pk domains, but they don't actually put any DNS record. So I don't know why they're registering it then, because it costs $2,500 rupees for 2 years. So it still costs money, but anyway, somebody's making money. 44,000 domains, but 19,000 A records. So I got around 15,000 records, as I said. So I looked it up. As per the DNS records, so what I did is I looked at the domain. I checked that domain A record. And then when you check the A record is the IP address. And then I looked it up that who is advertising that IP address, against what ASN. So I looked up the IP address and the originating AS of that IP address, right? And interestingly, I only found that out of 15,000, almost 15,000 domains, only 1,500 are originated by ISPs or entities registered in Pakistan. Only 1,500. I have considered Cloudflare as local because they have a POP. So around 1,300 are with Cloudflare, because Cloudflare provides a DDoS service or a web front. At least one domain is free, so a lot of people use it. Well, that's good for us because the content is then locally hosted. But a staggering 12,000 domains are outside Pakistan. So that traffic is 101% leaving the country. So I looked it up for the .gov.pk. If it is a .gov.pk domain, I'm pretty sure they are targeting the people in Pakistan or expat community which lives outside Pakistan, right? Out of 431, which I found in the 15,000 domain addresses, Only 72 are registered or are advertised by the Pakistani entities. 28 are with Cloudflare, and the remaining 331 are outside Pakistan. So I was looking at the list. I mean, I have the complete data if anybody is interested. I need to double check it from at least 2 places so that I can verify that absolutely that's how it is. I just wanted to publish something here. But I have the data. If somebody wants to see the data, I can show you. And I was looking at the list. I was quite surprised. A lot of local council websites are hosted in UK and Netherlands. I mean, they are with GoDaddy. They are with Linode. All these companies, they don't have any presence in Pakistan. I'm not sure why, just because they were cheap. That's why they hosted it over there. So .gov.pk is something for the Ministry of IT to look at it. Then second thing I looked at that .edu.pk, right? For the university to host something outside Pakistan, not in the university, is a blasphemy for me, right? This is against the principle of your education. You are hosting your website. That's fine. You can host it at multiple places. You can have multiple A records. I only looked at the A records. If there were multiple A records, you can have multiple A records. So I looked if there were multiple A records and one of them were in Pakistan. So I only considered that one. So in these cases, there were no multiple A records. There were only single A records for these IPs. Only 130 are in Pakistan. 73 are also behind Cloudflare, so they are technically in Pakistan. 832.edu.pk are still outside Pakistan. Right, so all that talk about putting more traffic, crossing it locally, you need to bring content from outside and host it locally as well. It's a good point to have CDNs, but the thing is, CDNs require content. So that is content distribution network. You need to convince the content to come back. I mean, it's a 200 million population country, right? Or more than that. It's quite easy to attract all these CDNs. They should be knocking on your door right now, right? I want to show you, the last slide is, sometimes it's just your gesture and your posture that what you're trying to do in your local tech community, which brings a lot of CDNs and content providers or hosting providers in your country. This is the example of New Zealand. Not even 5 million people. This is the statistics of their IX. Every content provider is there. If it's not there, it is in Australia and they have a direct connectivity. That's Auckland IX, right? It crosses 100 gigs every other day. Not even 5 million people. We have more than 200 million people. So it's just to convince the content to be locally present, just to make sure that you provide the services. I mean, we have, so all these 1,541 domains, they are still getting services, right? They are still providing content to their local communities. So why can't the other 12,000 can do that? So it's just a matter of perception, just to make sure that, well, it works. And in case if you have, right now you have only 2 major exits, right? It's PTCL and Transworld. And whenever you have a submarine cable damage, all of a sudden you all face a big service outage. If 12,000 websites are hosted outside Pakistan, of course you're going to face the service outage. If all of them are hosted in Pakistan, of course you won't be able to see the YouTube in that, on that speed, but at least you can use HBL, or at least you can use ABL locally. It shouldn't impact your banking. It shouldn't impact your paying your electricity bill or telephone bill. So this is something we need to change as a community locally. So that's all from my end. If you have any question, I have promised myself to dig deep into this and publish it as early as possible, but that slide deck will be available for sure. So that's all from my end.
So Aftab has said there are no questions, so let's move on. So next up, so thank you, Aftab. Next up, Rupesh is going to talk about NPIX, just a short update from NPIX.
Yes, definitely a very short, it'll be very short presentation. So it's Nepal Internet Exchange, where I'm also working as a managing director or CEO. We have two POPs, one within the Kathmandu Valley, one is in the city of Kathmandu, and another is in the city of Lalitpur, which we call as PTS is Putali Sadak, JW is Jaula Khel, which is in the city of Lalitpur. Peak traffic we've observed last year was 32G. I'll come back to that. Regular traffic is around 6G. We basically, going back by the history of NPIX, it was initiated after Gaurav was attending Apricot in 2002. And he came back and then floated this idea about NPIX, Internet Exchange, and we were able to start NPIX in 2003. Initially for 6 months, though it was connected, it was established, we were not able to establish the peering connection at that time. And only in 2003 it was connected, probably the first IX in South Asia at that time. Initially only 6 ISPs connected. This was the initial days. Sorry, I could not find a picture. Those were the days when initially Bill Woodcock and Dr. Philip Smith helped us with the setup of, to help us teach BGP what it is, and then help us in setting up the IX. I was able to capture some of the bandwidth progressions that we had in NPIX. In 2005, I was able to get bandwidth of 2 Mbps that was shared as a local native bandwidth. 2005, July, it was 8 Mbps. 2006, 15 Mbps, 7, 20, 25 Mbps, 80 Mbps in 2009. And by 2017, it was around 2 Gbp. So, and then 2018, it went to 3G, but during the FIFA World Cup, it picked up to 32G OTT traffic. But again, this 2G, 3G, and 6G is the native traffic. We do not have a CDN content in it. It's just a local native traffic that we have. Just wanted to show how the bandwidth in the IX is growing. Even the local contents are growing within the IX. We talked about here. We discussed about having the content within the country, and all those efforts. I think it's visible. I think from 2G to 3G or 1G jump, though it's very nominal as compared to other bigger IXs, but it's a significant proportion in terms of a percentage for a small country like Nepal. 2018-19, we doubled up to 6G, just a native cafe. But during some occasions, it peaks up to, this is the median value, so sometimes it peaks up to 8.4G during the last South Asian Games and all those things. So last year, we had like an average of 3G, and then in 2020, we had like around 6, 7G traffic. We have like regular conference calls. We use Zoom mostly. So basically NPIX, I mean, we talk about upgrading the switches. We talk about extension to different data centers across. Right now we just have 2 POPs, not interconnected again, and no local caching. I'll talk about pricing point also for your convenience for Afghani delegations' convenience. So we are extending the POP outside Kathmandu Valley also. We are also transitioning. Initially, setup was done using the IP address that we did not even own. We borrowed IP addresses from Bill Manning, and then that was being used. But we have our own IP address from APNIC now, and we're going to implement that very soon. We assisted in setting up the NPNOG about 3 years, 4 years back. And then it's now already registered, and it's like 5th NPNOG that's recently concluded, and they have their own identity for now. As I mentioned earlier, we are stressing very much into the IPv6 and network security, and we will be conducting a couple of other workshops this year on IPv6 and the network security. We are also probably the first NOG, so as to say, to start optical fiber networking as a workshop track, and we have our own content for it, which we've developed ourselves, and then we've already conducted 3 trainings on optical fiber networking to different in different NOGs. Some of the IXP's, the NPIX status, we are a non-profit company. Okay. We have only 32 paying members so far, and this currently it's a flat structure on membership basis. We charge like Nepalese rupees 10,000 per month, which is almost around not even $100 per month. But we're talking about now since we have only 1G and 10G ports, till last year we've recently upgraded our switch, so we have 40G, 100G ports also, and then some of the ISPs have approached us, some of the telecoms and ISPs have approached us to upgrade the ports. So last AGM we've also discussed about having the port-based premium charges for the bigger players so that we can probably subsidize that and to transfer the benefits to the smaller and the rural IXP POPs so that the cost burden will not be significantly high for them. Also, fellowships were being provided by NPIX for the technical teams of our member organizations. We sponsor various, the members, technical people from various member organizations to various technical workshops as well, and other training programs. We are supporting organizations for various other international events like APAN, Asia Pacific Advanced Networking, which is going to happen in Kathmandu in the month of March 2nd to March 6th this year, in 2020. APRIGF, in the IGF also, we are the supporting agency as a co-host this year in May. 2018, we successfully hosted Apricot, and we had like around 800 participants probably, yeah, from abroad. So, but as we believe, NPIX has just started getting younger. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Rupesh? Yes, one question from Afghanistan. Start looking out your plane ticket, Rupesh.
Sorry to disturb you again, sir. As we know that IXP infrastructure worldwidely, we have layer 2, so by itself it's secure. But instead of this, do you have any other protection from making this infrastructure secure and NIPX?
No. We are completely layer 2 switching fabric, and we remain in that way. It's a bilateral pairing that the IXPs do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that was simple. Okay, so what we're going to do, Marco will do his presentation. Yes? Okay. And then we'll have the break. The lightning talks will move to the next session because the closing keynote speaker will only be here tomorrow. He won't be here this evening. So, so the next session, which Rupesh will chair, will have the 2 main presentations and the 2 lightning talks as well. So that will help us catch up with time a little bit. So just so the 2 lightning talkers are aware, we haven't forgotten. We're moving you to after the tea break. So yeah, Marco, you've got your 10 minutes, please.
So, just here. Hello, I'm Marco from DECIX, from the German Internet Exchange. I'm responsible for our development of Internet exchanges in Middle East and South Asia. So we basically run the biggest Internet exchange in Germany, but we have a lot of outside operations as well. And today I want to talk a little bit about successful Internet exchanges and how they will develop in future, or how we see the future development. So basically, I give you an example of a few successful Internet exchanges which I uncovered, and there are many out there, by the way. So we have the Alps Adria Internet Exchange with 12 members. I know them very well because they serve in the region where I'm living. Then we have the IXPN as an example from Nigeria with 44 members, and DECIX with 843 members. All numbers, by the way, from PeeringDB. The numbers are slightly bigger in reality, But anyway, 3, if it looks like very different internet exchanges, but they have one thing in common, they're all very successful. And what makes them successful? So what are the success factors when we talk about a successful internet exchange? First of all, we talk about a successful internet exchange if it serves what it's created for. We had this example of the AIX IXP, 12 members. A lot of people would say, well, that's not really successful, but well, it's located somewhere in the south of Austria, in the middle of the Alps. You don't have more than 12 members to cover there, and it exactly serves the needs. They are connected to each other. Second is sustainability in a commercial sense. We see a lot of internet exchanges out there where they don't have the money for the next upgrade, they don't have an idea how to connect someone who wants to have a bigger port. They have the discussion about how to run in future, which commercial model they will do. A successful internet exchange has that's clear. Either there's a good funding in the background, there's an agreement between the ISPs which are running the IXP, or, well, it's commercially successful. It makes some profit. In the end of the day, nothing bad. We heard this discussion about non-profit, commercial. Well, in the end of the day, if an internet exchange is charging something, it should earn more money than it spends, because otherwise how you want to do the next round of investment in your hardware. So, and that's by definition is profit. We're not talking about profit maximizing. We're just talking about a solid, sustainable business for IXP. That's what they make successful. And there shouldn't be any restrictions. So there shouldn't be a restriction about who can peer. As long as you have an AS number, you should be able to peer. And what we see is all over the world, successful IXPs don't have these kind of restrictions that they say, okay, you need a special license to peer or whatever. The best markets are where you don't have that licensing regime or not too hard licensing regime. Traffic growth, organic, and of course it should be technically stable, because technical non-stable IXPs are most likely going out of business. So I will not talk about the biggest mistakes about IXP, but I want to mention one thing which came to my mind when I heard the presentation of Aftab. He was talking about all these AS numbers which are hosted outside of Pakistan, and then he was mentioning Cloudflare as one of the biggest hosters inside Pakistan of AS numbers. And I heard before that you struggle in bringing in the big content networks like Google, Facebook, and this is the biggest question for you. I would say you should ask yourself a different question. What did we do wrong to have so many AS numbers from Pakistan hosted outside at some cheap hosters in Europe, US having bad, ultimately bringing bad latency to the people of Pakistan, and having business outside, spending outside money instead of having it here in the country. Just saying, and maybe you should think about it, and this is a question to the operators. So, but now let's come to the point. What is an exchange today? Is it just a source for cheap traffic? Is it a source for short latency? Well, it is something why you should think about how you do your BGP network, so how you do that. Does it make data center attractive? Community builder, blah, blah, blah? Well, it's all true. It's all of that. Basically, an IXP is a hub creator. It will help to bring business to your data center, to your city, to your country, to the operators, and so on. But the question is this enough for IXPs in future to survive? So, some facts about the market. What we see, especially in Europe and in the US, you see IP transit is becoming cheaper than peering meanwhile. If you want to have just cheap IP transit, well, buy some chunk traffic, don't care about your routing, don't care about the quality, and you will be much cheaper than with any IXP, I guarantee you. You can have references from me. Anyway, but will you be happy? I'm not sure. But anyway, that's a different question. So then what else we see? We see the big OTTs. They build caching everywhere. This is not bringing traffic to the IXPs in future. Then at a certain threshold of the peerings, they will build PNIs. It's also not very helpful for an IXP to grow in future. But on the other side, we see data centers growth is tremendous. A lot of people are building into data centers. And enterprises, big enterprises are going into data centers. Everything is going to the cloud. We see big trends here. And we see even carriers, especially on the other side of the Gulf, from here. We see a lot of carriers building IXPs now because they think they will fill their data centers. So we could say it's still a trend. It's very trendy to have an IXP, and IXPs live, even more than ever maybe. So it's a hot topic in the industry. Is this enough to survive? I'm not sure. Well, I said IXPs are dead, long live IXPs. In terms of just traffic growth, just the usual business we knew, especially in Europe, well, IXPs are not the same as they used to be back in the past. As I said, we see this trend of cheap IP traffic, and so on and so on. But on the other hand, what we see is we see a lot of developments, like 5G is coming, IoT, more and more we're talking about IoT, artificial intelligence. And what is the summary of these new techniques, and especially of 5G, is traffic is going to the edge. We are talking about lower latency nowadays. Latency is key, and what means latency? Latency means traffic exchange on the edge. But what does that bring to us? If we think about traffic exchange on the edge, it means that we have to rethink the whole model of what is the value of an IXP. So you can remember the few examples what I've brought to you. Back in the past, a few years ago, traffic grows, big traffic. I mean, we're doing almost 10 terabit. I think that this year we will do 10 terabit of traffic peak in Frankfurt. So it's been the holy grail of internet exchanges to have as much traffic on exchange as you can. But if you think about edge, well, you will not see that. But you will have to serve what it's needed, local traffic exchange. Other than that, what is the other holy grail of IXPs? It's the number of ASNs. Well, it's easy in a big hub to have 900, well, it's not easy, but you can have 900 members there. Look at Brazil, they have even more than 1,000 members on the IXP. But on the other hand, well, if you're on the edge, if you run an internet exchange in Afghanistan, you will not see maybe more than 30 members, 50 members. I'm not sure, maybe even less. But in the end of the day, it doesn't matter because the question is, do you serve the needs of the customers? So the holy grail is, let's go to the edge, let's see what is necessary in the edge and make this sustainable. The other thing that we see is that internet exchanges interconnect, therefore, between the cities. So if you think about the value of an internet exchange, if I'm a carrier and I connect to an internet exchange, I want to see traffic in the end of the day, right? If I go to the edge, I might not see that on the edge. But maybe if this exchange is connected to a bigger hub, I can see the local exchange local, or local traffic exchange local, serves the needs, having a low latency, but getting what is not there on a remote interconnection. And the other thing what we see as a trend now in future for the internet exchanges, and the internet exchange is a big aggregation hub for a lot of businesses, for a lot of different networks, and they have more to offer than just IP peering. Think about if you run an internet exchange in multiple locations in a city, and people want to interconnect to each other for MPLS business, why not using a VLAN over the exchange? Because they are connected to the same platform anyway. The platform has to be stable, has to have 100% uptime, so why not using it for that? Or if there is a cloud provider connected, why not using it for the direct cloud connect? And that's a future which we see that internet exchanges more and more become an interconnection platform for more services than just the peering. So interconnection, isn't that the job of the carrier? So is an IXP becoming a carrier? That's a question which we hear recently very often. Well, IXPs are not carriers. We are getting a little bit, of course, by interconnecting, already by interconnecting data centers. If you have an exchange which is running in multiple data centers, you're some kind of doing a carrier's job already. But at the same time, we've never been a carrier, and we will never be. But we are, on the other hand, we are carriers' best friends. Why? Well, if you think about it, carriers are, first of all, suppliers for the interconnections between the exchanges. Second, if you create such a hub that people want to connect to, carriers benefit, because who does the transport for the networks to that hub? It's, in the end of the day, it's the carriers. Carriers, by the way, are a big success factor for an exchange. Think about it. You have the exchange here in Karachi. You have somewhere around Karachi, you have other smaller ISPs. If you're not able to connect them to the exchange, if nobody is connecting them for a reasonable price because they think, okay, it's much better to sell IP transit, well, it will not going to happen. So, but on the other hand, it's a sustainable business for the carrier if they understand the idea that they can carry people to a bigger hub and maybe bringing networks from outside, they will benefit. But talking about IXPs doing interconnection, even between cities, so even between data centers, you have to see that IXPs have such a footprint. Like DECIX has around 50 data centers all over Germany. No carrier can do that, or no carrier has that. So they start even using us now to reach their customer base, because they have a customer where they can't sell their services to, because it's in a different data center. What they do, they buy now a VLAN over the infrastructure to sell their services. So basically, Internet Exchange is becoming also an interconnection hub to enable business. So it used to be just a hub for exchanging traffic, but it becomes a business enabler for the participants. And I think that's something that makes it attractive. So the ultimate goal of an Internet Exchange, of course, is to localize the traffic. And we were talking about the edge, going to the edge. But on the other hand, if nobody is going to the edge, it will not help to localize there. So we need to make the edge attractive, and we can achieve that by interconnecting that to a bigger hub. And that's what making it, the edge as an entry point to this interconnection facility. And that makes it attractive to connect, and in the end, brings the goal to localize the traffic, which should stay local. So what's the conclusion? Future trends for IXPs, what we see, I think we will see many more small IXPs on the edge. This will be definitely a trend which will stay. We will see more interconnection happening from the edge to the hubs. Of course, always pricing is, can stop it or help it, you know. We see also a pressure on IXPs to be innovative because of the decrease of IP transit pricing everywhere in the world. Also here, IP transit price is decreasing. At a certain point, it will come to the point where people say, okay, it's pretty much the same price like peering, so what's my benefit? So we need, as an IXP, you need a clear answer to that. Latency definitely is a very good answer to that. And enabling your networks to be in the driver's seat of the peering and of BGP and not somewhere in the back, sitting in a bus and you don't know how it goes. And we will need a lot of more services, self-services for the peers, especially if you do more interconnection services and so on. For smaller IXPs, I would say collaboration is key. I mean, IXPs are about collaboration between networks, so why shouldn't IXPs collaborate with each other? I think big IXPs will collaborate with small IXPs will collaborate with each other. Even cross-border, why not collaboration between Pakistan and Afghanistan? I mean, if there is any way to do that, you should do that, because that's the way forward for IXPs. And the most important thing, know what is your purpose? What's the purpose of your exchange? What are the needs you want to serve? And define your success by that, and have a sustainable business model for it. Thanks, that's it. I'm a little bit running over the time you gave me, but I hope it was interesting.
Any questions for Marco? One question, one quick question, please.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening everyone. I am from Sri Lanka. My name is Zahir Hussain. First of all, thanks for SANOG-35 for selecting for a fellowship and giving me a fellowship. And my question is a little bit about security. So IXP is very one of the good concept, and I hopefully it's superb. So what are the aspects? What are the security aspects about the IXPs? So if it is someone hijacks some IXPs, the main router, so what will happen? So what is the security aspects? Even that around the world there are cyber threats everywhere. So even every day they are hijacking so many websites, so many routing, so many ISPs, DNS servers. So according to this matter, what are the security aspects in those areas?
Well, as an IXP, you're an interconnection platform by definition. So, and we don't control basically what is running over these interconnections. And well, It's like somebody robs a bank and using a highway to run off. What is the security aspect of the highway? You know what I mean? It's the security aspect of the police to catch them, but the highway is just there, and we are just that. We have no insight in it. The only thing which we do is, the only security aspect where we can help a little bit is that we started to do some kind of black holing services when it comes to DDoS. But other than that, you don't have so many options to help on the security, because Rupesh already said it, it's a layer 2 service which we do in the end of the day, you know, and the routing is on top of it, right? Thank you. Especially when you say hijacking a website, well, that's even some levels above it, okay? Good. Layers, not levels.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Marco. Ahmed want to give a 30-second thing, quick. If you can run up here and give your 30-second update on what you said earlier.
Thank you very much, Philip. Actually, it was an update which I was not able to mention in my presentation during the question and answer session. Actually, we are having support from the APNIC also for the Lahore IX, and we may decide whether where we need to install the support from the ISOC, whether at Lahore or whether at Islamabad to upgrade the equipment. It will be decided by the board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's now almost 5 o'clock, so I would suggest let's have 15 minutes tea, coffee break, and then we come back for the final session. So the final session will be slightly shorter because we don't have a closing keynote speaker, but we still have the 2 lightning talks. So the 2 lightning talkers, you'll be up first. So make sure that the PC has your slides. You've got 5 minutes each. I know you gave me 30 slide presentations. You got 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And then there'll be 2 other presentations. I forgot, one on IDN, another one, I forgot what I'm talking about. But anyway, Rupesh is going to be a chair, so he's going to chase you all back in the room at 5:15. Enjoy your tea. And thanks to all the speakers we've had this afternoon.
Hello, good evening. I would like to request everyone to come inside the hall, please. We're going to start this session now. This is a technical plenary, second technical plenary, and then the last session of this today's evening and the conference. Everyone, Aftab, has everyone come inside? Pardon? Okay, this session we have two lightning talks. Lightning talks are basically 5 minutes quick talk about certain topics, mainly related to technical operations and the technology. And then after that, we have RPK, impact of RPK validator in Bangladesh, some lesson learned from there, to be presented by Dr. Philip Smith. And we have new GTLD, IDN, and domain name industry in Pakistan by Ahmad Bakht Masood Saab. So I will start with the lightning talk, 5-minute lightning talk. We'll start with Fahad Ahmad Khan. His lightning talk topic is VPN and IPsec VPN concepts. Fahad, I would like to request you to come up front right now. And Fahad Saab. Fahad, bhai. Maybe we'll start with another one then. Maybe we'll start with Emerging Technology in IP Network by Bashir Ahmed Jishan. Bashir, maybe we'll start with you.
Hello. No, Mr. Flip, just hold on, timer. Timer has not started. Sorry? Shall I start? Okay. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Today we had so much discussion about IXP and Internet Exchange points. So the topic which I'm covering today is slightly different, but definitely it is connected with most of the technologies we are having right now. All the emerging technologies which we are having today are like IoT, 5G, cloud computing. All are connected together somehow, and the backbone of all the technologies is IP network, or you can say IP is the technology which helps every technology to evolve. So let's get some feedback agenda for the lightning talk. It should be very lightning because I was given only 5 minutes, so it should be very fast. So starting with IoT. As we already know, the IoT is Internet of Things. Even like in this era, everything is on the IP. Either it's your microwave oven or your curtain, everything can get an IP. So IoT is basically all the devices which are connected with the network to exchange the data. So how IP is helping this IoT mechanism? So the layers, like if I say IoT has 3 layers, starting with the sensor layer. If I talk about the curtains, your curtain are IP based, so you can control it from any part of the world. So they must have some sensors. So these sensors are connected with the controllers. Definitely the backbone is of Ethernet or IP based. So IP is helping at every layer. Either it's a core layer or the access layer. So the reachability of the sensors and the controllers all are supported by the IP. Even the transportation of data, because all the data which we are getting from the server side, so is being transported over the IP layer. It could be on the internet or it could be on the local site. Let's come to the second part, which is of 5G network. We already had some discussion about the 5G. 5G is not only about the speed. The main concern or the main ambition for the 5G is latency. The lower the latency, the better the output. Because in 5G network, what we foresee is all the devices on the planet or all the communication like driverless car, the latency is the main factor. So for overcoming the transportation distances, or you can say the time required for the communication, it's only the IP is the main mechanism. Because in the previous or in the past, we had different type of communication of TDM networks where the latencies are very high. But for the 5G, the main criteria is latency. Definitely, speed is the main key factor of the 5G, while 3G and 4G has a lower speeds. But on the 5G, we recently had a test of from the two operators from Zong and the Mobilink, which they have already touched 1.5 and 1.6 gigabit per second speeds. But definitely it was for the testing phase. We will be having more speeds when the later time comes. So every devices on the internet, on this earth can be connected to the internet, will be connected. So this is a very brief introduction about the 5G. So if I say 5G network without IP, that is not possible. Because in the previous technologies like 2G and 3G, we have a distributed architecture. But 5G is all IP. Even if we just go through briefly on the structure of 5G network, where all the RAN part, your access part, is connected with some cloud. It could be your private cloud, and definitely it will be connected to the internet cloud, or you can say the local cloud. So all the communication which will be based on IP network, and even the internal communication of 5G BTS, that is called G Node B, to the gateway, virtual EPC or whatever the gateway is, will be purely on the IP network. So 5G is nothing if we obsolete IP from it. Okay, so as we were discussing about the 5G, we have heard about the core and cloud. In the, like every technology or every products are on the cloud right now. Cloud is basically, you can say, sharing of your computer system, your hardware and your everything. And the new technology is that you are making every of your product into the microservices. Like if you say my website, previously it was hosted on a local server, now it's on a cloud, but the whole website is divided into a smaller chunk. That is called microservices. So even the communication between these microservices are being done on the IP layer. Now these IP microservices are such small, like if you say, for example, website of Facebook, it has like, you can say million of microservices can be working in the background. One microservice for the login, one microservice for the sign up, one for the forget password, one for the main page, and then so on and so forth. So even the microservices layer, the communication is based on the IP. So definitely the background and the cloud communication, all will be done on that IP network as well. Because the cloud is used for the global connectivity. Like if you have as Aftabai was discussing about the Cloudflare, which is one of that example as well. Like every website which was previously hosting on the outside world, now it is hosted on Pakistan because they have a POP in Pakistan, the Cloudflare. Maybe some other companies also in future have a POP in Pakistan as well. So what they are doing, they are just making a POP at the regional level just to give you the better communication. And that all the communication is being done on IP layers. So I just make it very small. If you have any question, or if I have time, so I can go for the second slide. So if you are noting the time, I don't know. I think time is okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, a round of applause for Bashir Ahmed Jisan about emerging technology and IP network. I heard that Fahad is not here in the hall right now, so we'll go to the next presenter, which will be Dr. Philip Smith for his presentation on the impact of an RPKI validation in Bangladesh and lessons learned.
Okay, this is not really me. So I'm just presenting this on behalf of Mohammed Abdul Awal, who couldn't be with us here. So this is work that he's done. So I'm going to try my best to explain what he's done and share it with you. But it's a very important topic. And as I was saying this morning, it kind of interesting enough follows on from the routing report that I talked about. And AFTAB is going to be spending a fair chunk of the routing workshop, security workshop, covering some of this content as well. And of course, tutorials tomorrow. So this is a work that Awal has been doing in Bangladesh. So I want to go through why he's doing it and what it's all about. He got a grant from Mozilla Foundation to work on this for a year. And so he's spending a fair chunk of time in South Asia working with operators to try and improve the security of the routing system in the region. And of course, because he lives in Bangladesh, he started off there. But as I was talking with him this morning, please do expect that he'll come knocking on the doors of network operators here in Pakistan as well. Not being done to annoy you, it's being done to actually make the internet better, the internet a safer place, at least as far as the network operations go. If we can secure more of the routing infrastructure, we can make the internet better in general. And so why we do it? Well, let's start off with some routing incidents. This is taken from the Manos website. They run a nice observatory, which all of you can connect to and have a look and see what's going on. A lot of the screenshots that he's got here are taken from the observatory website. You can just about see it in the bottom right, observatory.manos.org. You all can connect to it. If you sign up to Manos, mutually agreed norms for routing security, adhere to its requests and requirements, you actually get a more detailed access to the actual observatory. But the main point of this is the routing incidents happening all around the world. You can't just say, oh, everything is good in my country, and all the problems happen elsewhere. A problem, no matter where it is or where it's sourced from, has global impact. And so the size of the blob there really shows how many incidents and accidents have actually caused routing infrastructure problems globally. So 190 route misoriginations. A misorigination is where one network operator originates an address space that doesn't belong to them. Route leaks, where somebody leaks address space unintentionally, maybe causing traffic to be diverted in another direction. Bogon announcements are addresses, or indeed AS numbers being announced that just simply should not be in the routing table as well. As I mentioned this morning, what was it, 433 prefixes simply should not be used because they're not actually delegated to anyone at all. Right, so here's an example. Prefix announced by both AS, what has he got? AS134599 and AS133957. So which one is legitimate? Well, we can actually look at, so in the top right there's Hurricane Electric, bgp.he.net. One of them has got a green tick and the other one's got a red tick. Well, the green tick means that this is a valid origin. The red tick means it's invalid. So AS133597 is originating that /24, and it shouldn't be doing it. So that's easy enough to see on the bgp.he.net site. Because AS134599 is actually, the owner of the 45.118.70/24 address space has actually signed a ROA to say that AS134599 is the autonomous system that's allowed to originate the address. So it pops up there with a green tick. So when anybody else originates it, it pops up as a red tick. Any operator that's actually validating these prefixes would end up dropping that announcement, thereby protecting infrastructure. The problem in reality is, if you don't pay any attention to this, you can go to the different route views, and you look at, see, route views has got a large collection of BGP feeds from all over the world. If you look at the top box with a black background, you see some paths there have the prefix or best path or have any path where the prefix originated 133957, whereas the bottom set has the prefix originated by 134599. So some parts of the internet will see best path to the fake origin, and other parts of the internet will see best path to the true origin. Now imagine if that address space hosted your bank, and you want to go on to do some internet banking. you end up on a path that goes to the fake origin, and the fake origin ends up setting up a website that looks like your bank, but isn't your bank. You type in your bank details, and then the website pops up saying, oh, really sorry, the bank is not working at the moment, please try again later. And you go, oh, stupid internet banking doesn't work, you go and try again later. You try again later, maybe you're connected somewhere else, you log in, and you find all your money's gone. Because what has happened is this fake website has captured your username, password, or whatever else you need to get into your internet bank. And then they have gone and used your info and logged in and taken all your money. Now, that's a bit of a simplistic summary, but that's the sort of thing that's going on, where people are trying to hijack address space for mischievous uses. Right, so it could be something like this. Awal's been a bit simpler. He's just said legitimate traffic might get black holed, but it's not there really to black hole. This is really intended for mischievous use, and so you really want to try and avoid that. Back to the conversation we had this morning about address space that is assigned to you, that you're not announcing anywhere at all. Somebody else will announce it, and they'll take it, and they'll use it for whatever mischief they want to do. So in this case, the issue was informed to the owner of the address space, and they removed the wrong announcement. They created a row for the valid AS number, so you now see the lock. So the row is there, and so now we have a valid announcement visible in the global routing table. And again, he's gone back to route views, and the only one we see is the correct origin 133957. Okay, so that was the sort of example where things could go wrong. An actual real reason was, what's this case? No idea what this is. So you've got a situation where the client AS didn't update their APNIC membership, so they shouldn't have had a valid prefix allocation with the revoked membership. So the transit is still announcing the client's prefixes, and the global prefixes end up being marked as a bogon in the global routing table. So again, it's a bit hard to see here, but in the bottom one, you see the path. This is, again, via the Hurricane Electric BGP view. You can actually see the path it's one of the looking glasses. You can see the path to the destination in question. But it pops up in their AS info on bgp.he.net. AS13, can't quite read it, I think it's 136555, is announcing bogons. So again, issue was informed to the transit provider, and then the transit provider ended up dropping the announcement from this customer, and so the announcement is removed from the global table. Later on, the AS got the membership renewed, and the allocated prefixes were put back for their use. And so again, we see valid BGP announcements, and the ROA is actually in place as well. What's this one? AS64075 delegated its prefix 103.204.10.24 to be announced by AS137842. So it's a typical case where a network operator has some address space. Maybe they have a customer that's multi-homing between them and somebody else. So they're delegating some of the address space to their end customer for use. So we end up looking at the BGP table. We've got two announcements again. We've got 64075 as a valid origin. We've got 137842 marked up as invalid. So 137842 is actually announcing the prefix. But 64075 is also announcing its delegated prefixes to AS137842. That's basically a hijack. Its upstream is accepting it and further announcing it globally. So again, if you look at the HE looking glass, you can't on the screen here, but if you look at this, the slide deck on the website, you can see the different paths visible through the looking glass. Here's another one, /64 v6 prefix announced in the global routing table. But the most specific announcement we would generally expect would be /48. So the 64 should never be there. 64 is basically a host subnet, right? So what you would give to any particular subnet on the network. So again, the view on the right-hand side is from the HE website where it indicates. So the red indicates that there's no valid ROA, in other words, route origin authorization for that particular prefix. The network operator signed for all the other 48s that they're announcing, but that 64 is an invalid, and it should not be appearing in the BGP table. So again, the issue was informed to that autonomous system, and they've stopped leaking the /64 out to the internet. What next? Somebody's announcing non-routable prefixes into the global table. Well, 172.18.3/24. Well, you know that 172.16/12 is part of the private address space. So that shouldn't be announced globally at all. But there it was. It's appearing in the BGP table. So again, the issue is informed to the network operator, and they stopped announcing that private address space. I mean, you probably would argue that all network operators should be filtering private address space. But as I pointed out this morning, people don't seem to be too bothered about what they announce and what they accept or anything else. So, next one. Previously, AS136909 is using transit from AS24342 using static routes. So what happens there is AS24342 would originate their address space directly. Later on, 136909 started using BGP with our upstream provider, but that didn't stop, sorry, AS24342 didn't stop doing the announcement. So you have the appearance of the upstream provider hijacking the customer prefix. And again, you look at route views, you can see those particular entries. You see some of the origins as 24342 and others with 136909. So again, looking in the BGP table, with the change of origin, you can see that on the right-hand side is what's being originated by 24342, that they're actually invalid. Right. So again, having to intervene in the upstream provider and say, why are you announcing your customer prefixes? Why are you originating your customer prefixes? And usually because somebody's forgotten. AS136909 starts signing everything, and so the issue ended up being resolved. AS136901 got an allocation of a /22. By the way, none of these ASs are named. You can look them up. I think Awal is trying to protect the innocence of the people who are messing up. But you can look up the ASs and see who they are. So here's an example. 136901 got an allocation of a /22. They announced part of the prefix, not everything. They're just announcing a /23, so opportunists can use the other 23 for unauthorized activities, again, as I said this morning. And so what he's seeing in the routing table are 2 of the 24s. The other 2 24s are not announced at all. This one, AS137515, announced BCC. So BCC is the company that Awal works for in Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Computer Council. Announced BCC's prefix to a national exchange point, and it was part of a hijack. Important government services became unavailable because of that hijack. Now, it could have been accidentally, it could have been on purpose. So this took a lot of time for BCC to actually try and fix. And what did they reply? We mistakenly announced the prefix. We do not manually check our client's APNIC membership status. That's what they said. We don't actually check the membership status. The client is very close to us, and we trust them. Would you trust what anybody tells you, whether you're close to them or not? So we never check their announcements. We don't do prefix filtering. What? You don't do prefix filtering? Does anybody here not do prefix filtering? Please say you all do prefix filtering, inbound and outbound. Okay, there's laughter and there's chatter. That means you don't. I know you don't. Because otherwise you'd be sitting very solemnly agreeing. Right? And the other excuse was, oh, we forgot to stop announcing the prefix after it's delegated to another AS. Really? How do you stop forgetting to announce? I mean, how do you forget to stop announcing a prefix? So there's some really strange excuses. So, you know, we can get the sort of strange-looking faces appearing on the right-hand side of the presentation. So how do we ensure that we've got routing hygiene? How do we do this manually? It is a bit of a nightmare. Right? So there's somebody looking very depressed. I don't know. Maybe it's a while, well, it's not a while. It might be me when I'm not feeling, but anyway. You know, some people throw their hands up in the air and say, oh no, it's all doomed, you know, the internet's broken, give up, go find another career. Seems to be a lot of people telling me things like that these days. Why do you still bother doing this? Philip, give up doing the routing report. It's a waste of time. Nobody pays attention to it. Then we had this morning, Philip, your BGP workshops are a waste of time. Nobody's learned anything. Or it's my physics teacher. Was it physics teacher? No, was it physics? I remember. It was one of my teachers at school. He walked into the class one morning, depressed, after our class examination, and he just said, I've taught you all and you know nothing. And we couldn't understand why we all burst out laughing. Because if he taught everything he knew, and we knew nothing, that means he knows nothing either. Anyway, sorry I had to explain that. But yes, what do we do? Well, there is a solution, RPKI, and it's about two things. About ROAS, so Route Origin Authorization. In other words, you, the owner of the address space, or the delegated authority of the address space, sign this address space saying, this is the AS number that can originate my address space. That's what you need. Now, the people who delegate you the address space are your registry. Now, for most of us here, this would be APNIC. So APNIC has the authoritative record that your address space is yours to use. Nobody else has the authoritative record, right? RADB does not have an authoritative record of anything. RADB is just a list of prefixes that people are going to announce. This was the confusion that we had this morning about what the address registry does and what the routing registry does. The routing registry is probably 90% rubbish. Right? The big effort's underway to clean it up, but it's mostly rubbish. Whereas the allocation databases by the 5 regional registries are absolutely accurate. Well, the registries say they are, I hope they are. Right? So that's what we believe. We believe what the registration databases say. So because the registration databases are accurate, the registry can say, delegate to you, you have the authority to authorize which AS can originate the prefix. Right? So this is the APNIC front end. The owner of this address space, this v6/32, can state unequivocally that this AS number can originate my address. So if anybody else originates it, it's bad. Right? It's an invalid ROA. That's the first step, doing the ROAs. The second one is the validation. On your router can check if the prefix is valid or not. And we'll go through the details of how some of this is done. So signing ROAs is easy. APNIC members, you just go to the APNIC web page and do it. Doing the validation takes a little bit more effort, but it's all doable as well. And the more operators that do it, the better. Right, so this is pretty much how it all works. The flow is all there. APNIC member has to log in. It's a 2-factor authentication you do now. Have to do that just to make sure this is absolutely secure. You can then sign which autonomous system, or autonomous systems plural, it can be more than one, can originate your address space. But you have control of that. All right, so here we go. The second bit is about validation. So on your routers, you can get your router to talk to what's called a validator. The validator contacts the 5 registry databases and downloads all the validation information. Your routers don't talk to the registry databases. It's your own validator you run in your network. It's a cache. The routers talk to the cache. Every time they get a prefix update from a neighbor, BGP neighbor, they check the validity. If it's valid, we let it through. If it's invalid, we drop it. It's not done automatically unless you use a Cisco router. Right? If it's invalid, you flag it to be dropped. If it's unknown, that's annoying. And what we're now doing globally is chasing down all the people who have not signed the ROAs. And we'll come to some of that. Right? So this is an output here. I think, who's this from? Don't know. I think it looks Cisco iOS-like. But you can see the validation state now of different prefixes on a lot of routers these days. You can go to route views and see that clearly as well. Right. Whoops, and this has stopped working. No, there we go. So this is the flow, RPKI repository, so this is what the registries run. And then you've got the RPKI validator, which is what you, the operator, run. It's a cache. And then you've got your routers, right? And your routers will talk to the validator. It's very, very low overhead. A lot of the workshops and training I've done and Awal has been doing, people are very worried about turning this on the routers. It's almost zero overhead. You look at maybe 4 or 5 meg of RAM on the router just to handle this. In days of 16 gig of RAM, it's trivial. So why we create the ROAs? To ensure the authenticity of your IP resources and help others verify it. And in this way, we stop your IP resources being misused or abused by others. That's what this is about. And we had a few questions about this morning. And this is very, very important if we're going to ensure the integrity of the infrastructure going forward. So why do we deploy ROV? To build and maintain a secure and trustworthy global routing infrastructure, and to validate BGP routes to identify the authorized originator of that prefix. That's why we're trying to do this. Okay, so now we're going to look at the RPKI validation. This is in the National Data Center in Bangladesh, so you can see the work that Awal has been doing in recent months and the impact that it's actually had. So, at the National Data Center in Bangladesh, so NDC declared to drop invalids since the 1st of December last year. Right, now, Bangladesh has more than 700 active autonomous systems. The ROA status in September was 29% of prefixes were marked valid, 69% unknown, so in other words, no ROA no ROA information at all. 2% were invalid, in other words, 2% of prefixes had the wrong origin AS. And so what you need to do is try and find out the ASNs who are being impacted by this. So, of course, Bangladesh ASNs are pretty easy for Awal to reach. BDNOG community is very active, and he knows most of the operators there as well. But what about globally? I don't think there's anybody in the community who knows every single AS globally. There are about 66,000 active autonomous systems globally. So we can't really solve the problem globally all at once, so we're working country by country to try and make things a little bit better. So there's a lot of awareness before the ROV, so that's some of the examples of emails going out. So we've got the BD cert and the government cert. We've got emails going out to BDNOG, and I have no idea what the other one is over there because I can't read that either. But this is sort of awareness campaign that NDC were doing. And before that, you know, they helped a lot of others to create and fix ROAs, so the law enforcement agencies, police, special forces, government organizations, the exchange points, banks and financial organizations, transit providers, ISPs, data centers, right? A lot of efforts to try and help get things fixed. You don't want to just turn on validation and say, oh, well, too bad, community. You need to be paying attention. There's a lot of active effort beforehand to make people aware that this is going to happen. So the impact of the awareness campaign, so the beforehand, I think you took the snapshot in September. You can see a lot of the, well, green ticks means prefixes are being announced, and the red key means invalid ROA. If there's no key at all, there's no ROA information. So in other words, a lot of prefixes being originated by the wrong autonomous system. After a lot of the awareness campaign and contacting the users, he managed to fix everything, at least listed on the screen. I don't know if this is just a snapshot or the only ones he did, but this is the sort of impact the awareness campaign can have. And again, some more examples. Again, the red keys mean invalid ROAs. Going to the right-hand side, we got the origins fixed, or maybe it was the ROAs fixed. The origin AS might have been right, just the wrong ROA had been set up. And this is what it ended up looking like. So October 2019, 31% valid, 67% unknown, 2% invalid. This is the Manners Observatory. Again, you can access it. You can look and see what it's like for Pakistan. In fact, I'm going to save you the effort because I'm going to show you in a minute. But this was the BD the Bangladesh effort. So look at this in October, 31% valid. November, 45% valid. That's 54% unknown. And then December, 70% valid. 29% unknown, 2% invalid. Those invalids won't go away. But look how we've moved from unknown, being the vast majority, to valid, being the vast majority. That's the sort of effort we need. Now, it's not going to fix the internet in Bangladesh, but what this is going to do is make sure that the hijack of active prefixes in Bangladesh is going to be much harder to achieve because we now have a lot of prefixes that are being signed and used or originated properly. And this is the sort of impact again. So this is taken from, this is the RIPE NCC webpage, the stat.ripe.net, again, where they're tracking our PKI deployment. And you can see over on the far right, the impact in Bangladesh as well as ROAs have been signed. And this is for IPv6. Sorry, that was the v4 version. This was the v6 version. So it's not that IPv6 is perfect or anything. Whatever we do for v4, we have to do for v6 as well. And finally, NDC started dropping invalids since December 1st. I think he means 2019, not 2020, because we're not looking into the future. This was since 2019. This RPKI test, this again is hosted by RIPE NCC. So what you can do, you jump onto a network, and what this will test is whether your network supports, you've got a valid row for the address space you're connecting from. And the second thing, it tests if your network drops invalids. And this is a very, very clever little website. What it does, it's available through a prefix that's valid origin and another one that's invalid origin. And if you get a connection to it through invalid origin, it just says, yeah, you're not dropping invalids. So when you're both dropping invalids and have a proper row, then you get a happy smiley face like this. I haven't tried it for the conference network. I'm afraid to do it. I suspect I know the answer already. Is it a happy face or unhappy face? I don't know. I'm waiting for AFTAB to answer. More organizations to start ROV. So in Bangladesh, BDREN is going to start this month. Summit Communications are going to as well. Does it say? I don't know. I don't know if that's 2019 or 2020. Maybe they're already doing it. BD Link are going to start. Link 3 have been talking about it, and Cybergate as well. So more organizations are going to start ROV. That means dropping prefixes with invalid rows. There's several thousand there on the internet that are invalid, so this would actually have a bit of an impact. So what about South Asia and Pakistan? Okay, AFTAB said it's an unhappy face. So how about the next time, actually no, not the next time SANOG comes here. How about by the time we have our next PKNOG meeting, hint, we can get a happy face. So when's the next PKNOG? 6 months' time? I mean, you're all enthusiastic about relaunching it, we heard earlier. 3 months, Harris says, okay. Ahmed, you're going to help Harris? Okay. Right, 3 months' time, that's going to be a smiley face here as well. Okay, South Asia and Pakistan. Well, South Asia, things are getting a bit better. So this is the UN definition of South Asia, so that includes Iran and Iraq as well. I don't know why we're not using those definitions for the internet region, but anyway. Going to the Manners Observatory, you can see there's been a steady improvement. I'm wondering how much of this improvement is down to Bangladesh. I would guess most of it is down to Bangladesh and the changes there, because I don't see much happening anywhere else. Pakistan, nothing. This is not a mistake. The snapshot, October, November, December, 20% valid, 79% unknown, and 1% invalid. It's the same every single month because nothing is happening here. That's not to say there's some being signed, you know. So for valid entries, 20%, so there actually are some prefixes that have been signed. What we want to do is get that unknown of 79% down to something very small. You know, maybe we're here this week. Operators, if you're interested, AFTAB can help you, I can help you. Who else can help? At least the two of us I know. We're very happy to help you get all this stuff fixed so we get valid rows for all your prefixes done. It's easy to do. If you're an APNIC member, easy to do. If you're not an APNIC member, then it's probably not APNIC address space, and speak to your own registry. Tuan is here. I won't volunteer Robbie to help. No, Robbie doesn't want to help. But Robbie will document your story and talk about it. Get some good publicity about how you're doing your bit to improve the internet. All right. So anyway, please use the APNIC staff who are here to help as well. And as you see, Pakistan is pretty much a flat line and has been since mid-2017. So we want to make this a lot better. Right? So there's some incentive for you. And say, please use the folks here who are able to help you. Right, 1% invalid rows. This needs to go to 0. 79% unknown. It's big. So please sign everything that's not signed. And think about doing route origin validation as well. If one big operator can start doing this, I don't know who the biggest operators here are. I'm not saying it needs to be the incumbent that has to do it, but if one operator can start doing this, the others will start following as well. So considerations about ROAs and ROV, just to try and finish off, creating ROAs. Now, some people in the earlier years, a few years ago, were getting very excited about the ROAs, and they've got the /19 addresses from APNIC, and they decide, right, I'm going to sign my 19 all the way down to 24. Only they weren't announcing all the way down to 24. They're just announcing selected address space. The strong advice today is only sign ROAs for address space you are announcing. Don't sign ROAs for every single subprefix. You'll see something, if you have a look very, very carefully on the two screens on either side, or the two displays, there's something called an MSA. I don't know why it's called an MSA. It basically means the smallest subnet size. Now, that's a /22. You can't see it because of the low resolution. If you've got a /22 prefix and you're only announcing a /22, that's the only ROA you sign. If you set the minimum subnet size to be a /24, it means you get ROAs for 22s, 23s, and 24s. If you don't announce the 23 or the 24, it means somebody else can announce your 24 using your AS number anywhere else in the world. And you know about longest match routing? The most specific prefix wins. Right? So even though the /22 comes from your address space, somebody else in the world can announce your 24 from your AS number. They will win, and they can do a hijack with a validated prefix. So only sign ROAs for prefixes that you are announcing. That's very, very important. So this MSA thing is going away. Thank goodness. It should never have been there at the start. Right? So we only now sign ROAs for exactly the prefixes we announce. Right? So as it says here, better to create ROAs for specific prefixes that are announced in BGP. And that's why, I was going on about this morning about why are people announcing all the /24s or random bits of 24s, or, oh, I only announce the /24 when my customer uses it. You have to get out of that mindset. You cannot keep up with trying to get ROAs signed and keep your routing system secure if you've got this random announcement of /24s depending on what the weather's doing. So we have to start thinking about doing traffic engineering properly. Right, so once the ROAs are created, so you can see the various entries, so just examples showing what has to be done. Only create them for the exact prefixes you're announcing. And some examples. The other thing is people are confused about, oh, I can only set up a ROA for the AS that's going to have originated. Not true. Some people sign up to DDoS services via a third party. You can create a ROA from more than one AS. You may want your DDoS entity to also have a valid ROA. That's fine. You can set that up. It's not restricted to just your AS. You can have your DDoS entity also originate prefixes from you. It's your business if you want to do that. It's personally something I would never do. I would never allow somebody else to announce my prefix. But I can't really argue about people's business needs or business models. But again, you can sign the same prefix with multiple ASNs if you have a need to do that. And then doing route origin validation. So again, doing validation is strongly recommended. You can do it two ways. You can do validation, allow invalids into your network, but give them a low local preference. That still means they might be the best path. So I would probably not do that. You might want to do that at the start, just to see what might happen. Versus on the right-hand side, doing validation without allowing invalids. By the way, if you use Cisco routers, what happens on the right is the default. It's contrary to the RFC, but Cisco has decided it knows better than the RFC, which I think is really bad. Many other people do, but Cisco is refusing to fix it. I know this is being webcast. If anybody at Cisco objects, read the RFC. Fix your iOS. Right? At least Juniper and others are doing this properly, allowing the operators to decide what should be done, which is what the RFC says to do. You, the operator, needs to decide if you're going to drop invalids or not. Right? So iOS has a little knob where you can change the default to allow invalids in the path, but you've got to know about it. So for small ISPs and enterprises, what about those of you who've got your own internet resources? Creating a ROA is straightforward. You just do it through the registry. So whichever regional internet registry you work with, get your resources from, through the management portal. They all have different levels of difficulty. APNIC is very simple. RIPE-NCC is very simple. I won't comment about the other three registries. You've got an assignment from your upstream provider. If you've got a public AS number, get your upstream provider to sign the ROA. That's the easy way of doing it. If you don't have a public AS number, well, just get a public AS number. But if you don't use BGP at all, and it's just static to your upstream provider, again, you can get your upstream operator, or LIR, Local Internet Registry, to do it for you. So certainly in the Asia-Pacific region, there's no barrier to getting ROAs done if you have your own address space. For route origin validation, if you've got BGP with transits and peers, you've got full routes, implementing ROV is very, very easy. If you've got partial routes, encourage your transit provider to do ROV. You can even make it a part of the renewal of contract with your upstream. Just say to them, I require you to do ROV. If you don't do it, I'm going to move. Don't know, it's worth a try. You can try, you can implement some ROV yourself. You've got partial routes, at least you can do validation for the partial routes that you're getting. If you just get a default, then you can't do route origin validation. You've got to get your upstream to do it for you. Right. So you're still thinking or wondering why we need any of this? Well, check all the issues we talked about first. I mean, the APNIC course that looks about this has very detailed analysis of a lot of the incidents. Tashi and Warren have done a good job of putting a lot of slides together about a lot of the reasoning. And if that doesn't convince you, I guess nothing will. What we want to do is reduce the opportunity of routing incidents, prefix hijacks, route leaks, DDoS, and general outages. You don't want to be a target of the incidents. Your customers don't want to be targets, and your customers don't want to blame you for outages. So you really need to be very careful with your infrastructure. This will all help improve global routing infrastructure security and help each other to maintain routing hygiene as well. And remember, we're all network engineers and we're all trying to make the internet better. All right, so create ROAs if you don't already have them. If you've got broken ROAs, please fix them. Make ROAs part of your daily operations to make sure that whatever you're announcing matches what ROAs you actually have signed. If you're a transit provider, ask your clients to do the same. Awal is very polite. Ask your client. Tell your clients do the same. Right? We really need to have a big effort to try and fix this. If you're receiving the full BGP routing table, implement ROV. Even if you get partial routes, implement ROV and ask your upstream provider to do the same. And then share all this amongst other colleagues in the community. Help others to fix the ROAs as well. And so check your own AS. You can go to HE's website, bgp.he.net, search for your AS number, check your V4 and V6 prefixes. You see the example on the right for the Bangladesh Computer Council. Green ticks and green keys, all looks good. Anything red there is probably not very welcome. Or you can use whois on a Unix terminal. If you find any issues with your roar, please fix it. There's a nice APNIC blog about how to do all of that as well. So there's plenty of help out there how to do it. It's really up to you as the operators to do your little bit to try and make the infrastructure better. If there aren't enough references, there are 10 here. You can go do more happy reading. And that's about it. If you're coming to Apricot, we have our RPKI deployathon on the Monday the 17th. You can take part in that as well if you're coming to the rest of the conference. Did I miss anything after? All good? Don't forget workshop, tutorial. Learn more about that as well. Yeah. This will all be covered in detail there, Aftab's saying. So if you're interested in this, and the answer should be yes, please go. I'm not trying to push you away from the V6 workshop, but this stuff is really important. Really, really important. Okay. Ahmed is saying that he's going to coordinate with, I don't know who me, well, me, or everybody me. Okay, Aftab and me about this from the regulator point of view. Okay, I'm done. May I go now? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Philip, for giving the scenario. I hope a lot of people, I hope you have understood the importance of why this is necessary. As Aftab and Philip said, if you want to dig more into that, or if you are like if you're first time hearing about ROA, RPKI, and all those stuff, I strongly recommend you come tomorrow on time and then attend the network security tutorial, manners tutorial, as well as there are a lot of other interesting topics that you can choose tomorrow. We'll have 2 tracks, one in this hall, another in another hall. One track will have more purely manners tutorial, which will have more of a security aspect of it. Second track will have programming in Python for network engineers. And then the second section will continue in the 2 parts. After lunch, we'll have virtualization tutorial, 1.5 hours of full understanding of how to set up a virtualized platform and all those things. And the last session will have risk elimination and system hardening, being safe by Mir Hassan Raza from Cybernet. So it's more of a system hardening part. So I encourage you to come on time tomorrow and attend the session in full first. And if anybody else from your organization or colleagues are interested, as I mentioned, please reach out to the host and then ask them to book a seat. This is going to be a very, very good one-time opportunity for a lot of people in Pakistan, especially in Karachi. Now, with that, I would like to request Ahmad Masood Saab to give his presentation on new GTLD, IDN, and domain name industry in Pakistan. Ahmad Saab.
Assalamu alaikum. Again, with a different hat. Now I'm a volunteer for the ICANN. So I will briefly discuss the DNS, new GTLDs, IDNs, and its universal acceptance, and the introduction of task force on Arabic IDN, and then the domain name industry in Pakistan. Everyone in this hall knows this is DNS. It resolves IP address into domain name and domain name into the IP address. And it was designed initially by the Paul Mokapetris in 1983. And then in 85, first CCTLD's country code top level domains were allocated. And then in 1998, ICANN was established. ICANN is Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. Names means domain names, and numbers mean IP addresses. And they introduced some of the new GTLDs. Before that, GTLDs were introduced. 7 initial GTLDs were introduced at the time of introducing the DNS. which were .com, .net, .mil, and .gov. And after the introduction of ICANN, they introduced some of the new GTLDs at the top level domains. And then they announced further new GTLDs in 2012. So looking at the DNS infrastructure, these are the CCTLDs, country code top level domains or in .pk, then second level is .gov.pk, and then the third level is pta.gov.pk. And GTLDs are initially allocated generic top level domains. These are .com, .org, .edu, .mil, .net, and .int. So these are still very popular top-level domains. And then ICANN decided to have new GTLDs, .law, .top, and .pakistan in the Arabic script, and some other GTLDs. For new GTLDs, ICANN announced a round, and they received 1,930 applications. And most of the applications were received from the North America, from the Africa and South America. Very low response for the new GTLDs were received. So as of December 31st, out of these 1,930 applications, 1,235 allocation have been made by ICANN, and 642 has been withdrawn, whereas 41 have been declined, and only 12 applications are under consideration of the ICANN. And these are the market share of the new GTLDs, top-level GTLDs and CCTLDs. You can see around 50% is marketed still with the GTLDs. And after that, CCTLDs have 36% share, and new GTLDs do not have as much share as they should have, even though they have more GTLDs available. .com is more popular among all the GTLDs, and there is a big difference between .com and .net allocations. It is almost 10% of the .com GTLD. And after that, the .tk is the CCTLD. CCTLDs are just a 2-digit top-level domain or CCTLD, and these were allocated on the basis of ISO 3166. Among the GTLDs, .top and .info and .xyz are more popular than other new GTLDs. So ICANN decided to introduce domain name in the local languages because they consider that internet user will be reached to 5 billion by the end of year 2020. So the internet should be available in local languages because everybody do not understand English, so it should be in the local language. So initially, in .org, .com, and .com, ASCII code was used. But after the introduction of IDNs, it is available in the Unicode. And Unicode can cover most of the code points available in of the languages of the world. So this is a comparison of ASCII and Unicode. Unicode can accommodate only 128 characters, whereas ASCII code can support 128, and the Unicode can accommodate wide range of characters, and it covers almost all characters of the most spoken languages of the world. Then IDNA is the whole infrastructure for the internationalized domain name application was introduced, and in 2003, and then it was improved in 2008. It is called IDNA 2008, which resolved the domain name. It actually simplifies and then encode the IDN into the ASCII codes. So the DNS operators, the network operators who are managing the network infrastructure, they do not need to have IDNs in their DNS servers. It can be simplified by the Punycode. So these are the examples of Punycode. These are the examples. If you see ADIDAS, the A, B, B, I, S, and it is converted into the equivalent in the Punycode, because you can see I is not in the ASCII code, so it is converted into the Punycode. And similarly, Rolex, it is not in the ASCII, it is IDL, so it has its equivalent Punycode. And in case of Rolex, it has a totally different Punycode. Okay. So in case of Pakistan, you can see they have different Punycode, and for the Pakistan Hukumat, they have different Punycode, and it can resolve into the applications so that it can be visible in your browsers. These are the language communities around the world. We have a Latin script, Arabic script community. This is the area covered by Latin script, and then we have this Arabic script community, and then we have different languages of the world. And ICANN is working with almost all of these communities, and 27 communities have started their process, and almost all of them has completed their top-level domain process. And rest of the languages are also near to the completion of their work. These are the allocations of CCTLD in IDN. So 61 IDNs have been allocated in 42 countries. And India is the unique example. You can see they have allocated 15 IDNs in local languages. And if we compare it with Pakistan, we have around 63 languages in Pakistan. And 62 of them are using the Arabic script. So in the Arabic script, we have covered all the IDN requirement for the Pakistani local community. The native English speakers are only 6% of the world, whereas the data domain name available, the internet data is available is more than 50% of the whole data on the internet. Whereas Chinese is the most spoken language, and they have only 2% of the internet data, whereas they have contributed to a lot towards the IDN. They have 33% of the IDNs, and after that Russia, and then Germany. This is again the similar map. It is showing the progress of different countries in the IDNs. So since after the allocation, IDN was progressing till 2016, and then in 2017 there was a decline, and then after then it has been recovered in 2018. So it was considered by ICANN why they have a decline in the domain name. So they consider that they do not have a complete package. It is the domain name do not have email addresses with them, and it is not applicable to every application. So businesses need complete package. So ICANN actually focuses on it, and they created a subgroup under the Universal Acceptance Strategy Group, steering group. And first of all is the EAI working group, which is email address internationalized. If you are sending email in Urdu, it should reach to the other person in Chinese. So it should be resolved, and its end-to-end connectivity shall be ensured. And then they are also working on the Universal Acceptance Measurement Group and the coordination group. With the coordination group is working with the the software development and large companies to have domain names resolved, IDN domain name resolved in every application. And there are some local initiatives like EAI initiative. Pakistan is also involved in EAI application. We are also testing EAI in Urdu and Pashto in Pakistan. So these are the main elements of the universal acceptance. It should be available in every application, in every type of device, and it should be available in every browser. And email should be communicated end to end through any of the email client. Then a brief introduction of task force on Arabic IDN. Arabic IDN is working under the Middle East Strategic Working Group, and it has a representation from 26 countries. And TF IDN has completed the route LGR work for the top level. It has already completed. And we are actually working for the second level LGR for 4 languages, Arabic, Urdu, Persian, and Pashto. Pashto is the national language of Afghanistan, one of the national language of Afghanistan, and it is widely spoken in Pakistan. So we have covered all of these languages, and we are working for the Sindhi language. It is almost near to completion, and after that we are working with the Malay language community. It will also be finalized soon. This is the Arabic script region. The dark green region is the region where national and official languages are the Arabic script, whereas in the medium green, Pakistan are the countries where we have official language English and national language Urdu. So we may have resistance from the community whether it will have more acceptance in the community or not. But we are still facing difficulty in the countries where we have Arabic script is the national and official language, like Saudi Arabia. They have only 5% of the registration in Arabic script. as compared to their English registration, because they are having same difficulty of having domain name without the email addresses. These are the CCTLDs and GTLDs allocated till today, and two of them are the Abu Dhabi and Arab are the geographical TLDs. Regarding the universal acceptance, we have different issues than other language communities. We have the issue of zero-width joining characters, and we have issues zero-width non-joining characters. And the combining marks, we have a lot of combining marks in our language, like Maslan. So it cannot be written without the combining marks. And then we have the issues of bidirectional way. English is written from left to right, and Urdu and the Arabic script is written right to left. So this is the table which has been considered, a Unicode table which has been considered by the Pakistan TF-IDN, and out of these 339 Unicode code points, 174 have been recommended to ICANN for allocation in the top level domain. These are the example of email addresses. Sarif at misal.app, and similarly Pakistan user at example.pakistan, and user at ahmad.info. So it should be available in every language, and it should be resolved in every email client. So there are concerns on the IDNs. There are IDN phishing issues, there are homoglyph issues, and variants issues. And the variants are most important because Kaf, we have the Arabic Kaf, and we have the Persian and Urdu Kaf. So they have different Unicode for that. And similarly, Ye, He, and we have also the issue of similarly visible characters, like you can see this is Re, and this is Re and Toy above. And if we look at different variant issues, we have the example of Makkah. In Arabic, they used to write 2 dots above the He, whereas it is not written in Persian and Urdu, and they have different Unicode for that. Another example is Ali. We have 2 dots below Ye, and it has a different Unicode, whereas it is not written in Persian and in Urdu. Similarly, bank, the Kaf, and ending with Kaf, we have a different code point, Unicode for different Kaf. So it can create phishing attack for different language communities. So now coming to Pakistan, we have a dilemma that .pk is not in Pakistan. And I'm grateful to Aftab Siddiqui. He has very good analysis of .pk domains. Even it is not in Pakistan, and we are hosting these domain names outside the Pakistan. So there is need to bring the hosting into the Pakistan. And for the .pakistan, we have allocated, the government of Pakistan has asked NTC to host .pakistan. They have hosted, but it is not yet publicly available. So we have a very low percentage of the domain name of the world. We have only 0.08% of the domain name of the whole world. And we have very low domain name representation even in for the .pk. So if we look at the trend of Pakistan, Pakistanis are also more inclined towards the .com, and after that .pk, which is not, both of them are not in Pakistan. And thank you very much for that. So if you have any question, please let me know, if time is allowed.
Do we have any questions? Thank you, Ahmed sir. With this, I think we've come to almost to the end of the program, the whole day's conference. We'll have the closing session tomorrow by end of the tutorial session. But before we break out for today, at the end of a conference, I would like to give out some token of appreciations to some of the speakers. So I think, Harish Bhai, if you can come up on the stage, we'll start the token of appreciation distribution, and then we'll end today's formalities and today's session, and we can come back tomorrow for tutorials. And the day after tomorrow onwards, there will be 4 days of rigorous workshop. I would like to request Dr. Phyllis Smith to come up on the stage to distribute the token of appreciations to some of the speakers and guests. First, I would like to request Ahmad Bakht Masood Saab to come up on the stage and accept the token of appreciation on behalf of SANOG and as well as from the host. Philip, just if you can wait for some time. We have a few more in the list. Next, I would like to request if Atif Wasi is here. Atif, if you can come up on the stage and accept the token of appreciation. Atif did a very nice presentation today on building the 400G internet on merchant silicon presentation. Thank you, Atif. Next up, we have Asad Ali from Inbox Business Technologies with his presentation on DDoS mitigation, enterprises, security planning, and strategies. Thank you, Atif. Asad. Next up, we have Shirafzal from Afghanistan. Shirafzal, if you can come up on the stage and accept the token. Next up, we have Marco Brandsetters. Marco? I think somebody's going to call him. Can you accept on behalf of Marco? probably do a Photoshop later and then. Thank you, Dikix, and thank you for collecting on behalf of Marco. So with this, we've come to the end of our day for today. Thank you very much. I hope there were several learnings. Sorry, I have missed out somebody, a very important person. Mr. Asfar from Yottabyte. So if you can come up front and accept a token of appreciation. So Mr. Asfar has been a very, very instrumental help for having this event in place. A lot of arrangements that we've seen, you are seeing right now, has been a huge contribution from Mr. Asfar. And another person who's been a huge contributor for the success of this event is Mr. Harish Shamsi, the man behind SANOG-35. Philip, if you can come up. Not so fast. Thank you, Harish. Thank you, Dr. Philip. Now, finally, we come to the end of this conference today. I would like to request everyone to join for the opening social dinner, which starts at 7 or 7:30. What's the time now? Yeah, 7:30. So because they have to arrange the place again, and it will be here in this room. So they have to fix a few things over here. So if we can gather back again at 7:30 for evening social dinner, we have a nice program organized by the host with a lot of few activities in place, which is a surprise, I believe, from Harish Saab. So we hope to see you back again at 7:30 and tomorrow again. Thank you very much. Thank you. One more thing. Tomorrow we'll start at 9:30, so request you all to be here by 9:30. Thank you.